do you
No, I
dirty.
said like new SpongeBob, which is all super smooth, less rugged, more smooth.
So we have Joe Bernard coming on. Did you guys know that? Did you see that? Did you hear about this? Did you see this? Ah, what a lovely time I'm having in Utah. Let's see if there's anything on my slow-mo footage of this. Whoa!
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes!
Echo down to nominal.
Flight downside SPD off. Bring in SPD off. Off. It's orange! 125!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Decollage. Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together, back to the moon and beyond.
If the methane would be igniting the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello, and welcome to the Flame Trench. We are NASA Spaceflight. We are NSF. Welcome to the show. This is our informal weekly news show, and I'm in a hotel room. Sorry if the background is not that inspiring as usual, but joining me as always, we have an ever competent cohort of co-hosts. Also, we have an awesome guest this week. So let's start off and introduce our guest, Joe Bernard, solid rocket motor extraordinaire and also cinematographer extraordinaire. Joe, how are you doing?
Howdy, Jack. Thank you guys for having me on again. I think I end
absolutely.
up showing up whenever someone blows up a rocket motor or observes a rocket motor.
Yeah, one of the two. Also joining us today for today's show, we have EJ. EJ has shaved, and I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
Well, my beard is ablative. That's what happened. We just went through re-entry and it ablated off. Well, don't worry, it's refurbishable. It'll be fine. It's fine.
Is it refurbishable or is it really more just like rebuildable?
No, it's refurbishable, like SRB casings. Am I right?
Maybe maybe we'll get into that. Also joining us on this week's show is Sawyer as usual. Sawyer, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I think EJ's face had an observation is the proper way to describe it. Or it transferred from his beard to mine, which is getting a little bit longer. One or the other. So, yeah, that is, that's what's going on today, I guess.
Good stuff. Well, I guess we should jump right into it and talk about the anomaly. So, shall we? Should we talk about the SRB anomaly that happened? What was it, yesterday? It's all a blur.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I think it was an observation.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
There was
anomaly is
indeed.
a strong word, Jack. We observed it doing something a little funny, which I think is verbatim what they said about one of the previous ones.
Yeah, maybe that was the Omega one where they had a similar issue. Also, I forgot to mention, one, if you have any questions at NASA Spaceflight, we'll see your questions pop up in the panel that we have running in the background. And two, Kevin Michael Reed is producing today's show. There we go. All the housekeeping at the start of the show is good to go.
Wait, I thought housekeeping was making the bed behind you in the hotel.
No, I put a little do not disturb thing on my door so they won't come in while I'm doing the flame trench with y'all.
Well, if they do, just let me know and I can take over things if they start trying to clean your room.
All right, noted. Thanks. So, the Bole DM1, first test of a brand new motor. And I don't know if the people watching are super into space Twitter. I know that's like, it can be two separate communities, but space Twitter was pretty upset about the observation that occurred. And that's part of the reason why I'm super excited that we have Joe on to talk a little bit about what we saw and speak from a sort of a position of knowledge, because you build a lot of solid rocket motors, Joe. If y'all out there don't know, Joe's channel BPS Space is amazing and you should check it out. But Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just let you take it for a second there, Joe, and explain sort of what you see in this footage, because you could probably explain it much better than I could.
Sure. I appreciate the kind words. I just want to make one small correction. Position of knowledge is a generous statement. I have some limited knowledge. I haven't built anything nearly this big, but I do work with a lot of solid rocket motors, and what we're looking at here is a classic case of fire where you don't want it. That's just a real classic. Uh, the
Yeah,
Bole.
somebody on our YouTube said the keep inses didn't work to keep out the goes outos or something. I was like, that's
Yeah.
amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if I were building this, I simply wouldn't have done it. I simply wouldn't have let it do this. That would be my take. I just wouldn't have done it this way.
Right.
But no, all jokes aside, I mean, one of the things that makes this challenging that I think everyone's probably aware of, but they have a vectorable nozzle at the base of this thing. Is this, it's not the same setup, but it's similar to the shuttle SRBs or the SLS booster SRBs, which is what these are supposed to be. And I think the mechanism changed. I'm not completely all up to date on this. Jack, it sounds like you got a tour and may have some further clarification on this. But one of the things that made the shuttle SRBs really tricky is getting the joint on gimbaling the nozzle to work. So you've got so much flow and so much heat and so much pressure, and you have to like point 4 million pounds of thrust in a slightly different direction. And so not only do you need big actuators, but you have to keep the pressure inside. So how do you have a pressure vessel that like can steer the nozzle? And I think my guess is it failed somewhere at that joint. Those are really hard joints to get right, and I think they're probably really hard to simulate too, because solids create like a lot of slag. Like their exhaust is really heavy. One of the reasons you don't see much more conical or bell nozzles. I think we talked about this with Vulcan's flight that had the nozzle anomaly. One of the reasons you don't see parabolic nozzles, more curved nozzles, is the exhaust is so heavy, so it strips away stuff a lot harder than a liquid motor motor's exhaust would. But all of that is to say, I mean, I think it's probably the seal, the movable seal that broke here. As someone who does not know the design at all and is taking a guess based off Jack's footage.
Yeah. So again, everybody's saying that like this is an old design or why is it failing? One of the things they showed us in the tour, which unfortunately no photos were allowed, they did have like a staff photographer that was taking photos, and they said that they would release those in like the next week. I don't know if they still will, thanks to the anomaly. But one of the first things they showed our tour group was that joint that is flexible that allows the nozzle to gimbal. And I could describe it as, I tried to even Google for an image of this on how it works on the shuttle version and the SLS version of this booster. It's kind of ungoogleable, or I'm just really bad at Google. But I would describe it as a many-layered sandwich of material, like an insulated material and a structural material. On the RSRMs, the shuttle boosters, and on SLS, that structural material is steel. On the Bole nozzle, it's carbon composite. So it's like a sandwich of all of these layers, and then when they gimbal the nozzle, the sandwich can like stretch in the appropriate way. I'm failing at describing this with words, but when they showed it to us, they had a cool little thing on the wall, like a framed little like cross section, and the dude wiggled a little stick, and it showed how this weird sandwich structure could flex in the way that it gave them like whatever it is, 8 degrees of nozzle gimbaling. So yeah, it totally could have been something like, because they were using a carbon composite and because this motor overperformed and gave them more thrust than they expected, maybe that piece of the thing didn't hold up to that extra thrust. Pure speculation on my part, but that is, I think, around the area where the failure occurred. So as we armchair analyze things, that's what I can come up with.
If we have the ability to toss some images, I tossed a few links in the stream guest commsnet, not to get too inside baseball, but if we have the ability to show, there's a couple links in there. But yeah, that joint is so complicated because there's a ton of mass moving around. We call that mass flux, and it makes you sound really cool to say mass flux.
It does.
But yeah, there's a ton of mass flux in that area. It's like the fastest the gases are going. I think sealing that is really hard, and especially if they're trying a new design. I honestly, Jack, I also kind of thought this was like, well, it's a shuttle SRB with a composite case. How hard could it be? Unironically, how hard could it be? But if if that joint is new, what we're probably looking at is some version of the second, the left middle image right here where it says flexible laminated
Yes,
bearing.
exactly that. Yes.
That's a super simplified version of what's going on. And there's another image in there that's a little bit more detailed for the shuttle SRMs. But yeah, getting that thing to hold over 1,000 psi or whatever they're running them at can't be easy.
Yeah, I honestly also thought it was sort of just the same as a shuttle or SLS, solid rocket motor. And yes, I went on a tour and Northrop Grumman gave us access. So I have gotten information from them and I have a bias in that I thought the tour was cool. And the information that I have is from them. So of course it's going to be what they want people to hear. So all that taken with a grain of salt, everything I saw on the tour really reinforced to me that, wow, okay, this is a very different rocket. And perhaps Northrop has underplayed their hand in a way by trying to be like, no, it's the same thing. Don't worry about it. It's exactly the same. We'll just swap it in. It's trivial. But no. Like, let's back up a second and realize this is kind of a completely different rocket in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Not to confuse the producer here, could we go back to that previous image for a second? So I think this is the shuttle SRM as a cross section. It's the crunchiest scan of an image ever. So forgive the blurriness, but yeah. So it says RSRM aft segment on the bottom left there. So this is the space shuttle. And that flexible bearing you can see up there, it could be the bearing failing. It could also just be right above where it says RSRM aft segment. There's sort of a section that curves upward. This is going to be the inside of the pressure vessel and where a lot of liner material needs to be. And again, there's so much gas that's moving super fast through there. I could imagine this also burning through if they haven't, if they have some behavior that again, I don't want to use too many big words, but if the flow is really fast in that area, it could be stripping away liner faster than they want. And if it's a different geometry than inside the space shuttle, it's just really hard to simulate this stuff accurately. Because the other thing is you've got a bunch of phase change behavior. So all of the fuel starts out as a solid. That's why we call it solid rocket motor. But at some point, it turns into a gas. And in between, it's really messy because some stuff is still a solid particle. There's aluminum in there that's forming these little droplets, and then those droplets are burning. It's very difficult to simulate this stuff. I made a dumb joke about it on Twitter, and I got mad with everyone else. But it is a really hard problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that it happened, but I wish we could be more affording of grace to companies when they try new things. Like I feel like the reaction to this test on the negative side that we saw yesterday is part of the reason for the rampant conservatism that leads us to low Earth orbit for 30 years. And I wish more people would give companies that affordance. But so it goes. Also, another difference that I just remembered. You mentioned liner. The insulated material that lines the composite case, instead of being laid up by hand, is going to be an automated layup procedure.
Oh, nice.
In addition, there are changes to that material and how it's applied. So it could have been something related to exactly what you were saying, where they had more thrust, they had more burn in a specific area where the liner didn't remain happy.
Did they say what material it was? I bet it's EPDM if they did or didn't.
I'm sure they did, but it was literally no photos, no audio recording. They allowed us with notebooks and pens, and I didn't take a notebook or pen because I'm an idiot.
Old school.
Philip Sloss or Justin Davenport, who were also with me for NSF, might have written that fact down. The one thing that I like committed to memory is this case is, I think, T300 carbon fiber, and they're switching on the next one to T1100. I tried really hard to remember those numbers. I don't know why, but there you go.
Well, I mean, in the
Uh,
case's credit, the case seemed to work great. Um, Actually, I'll add another thing I could see going wrong. So carbon fiber, everyone thinks of carbon fiber as this really strong material, and it is. So when they say it's T300 or T1100 or whatever, like we call it the toe. That's the individual lines that they're wrapping around. But of course, that doesn't stay there. You need a matrix. You need like a binder between all of these lines, and so that comes in the form of epoxy. One of the things that happens with a lot of epoxies is they'll fail under high temperature. This happens out at Friends of Amateur Rocketry, where I launch rockets a bunch. The folks who show up with composite cases do have concerns about, like, if you have a black rocket in the sunlight, it'll get past the temperature where your epoxy isn't effective anymore. And I could also see a scenario where, like, I'm sure they're using the craziest aerospace grade epoxies you could imagine that cost $400,000 a gallon, right? But like, I could see a scenario where it heated up the case to the point where the epoxy matrix that's holding the carbon fiber together let go a little bit. That would also make
that's
sense.
That's really interesting because so when they do these tests, you probably know this, Joe. Our viewers might not. They will do tests of these boosters, and this is how they've done it for the shuttle and SLS, and this is how they'll do it for Bole as well at different temperatures. So this booster was conditioned inside the little room that it normally lives in that can roll away to be, I think it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And was intended to be the cold end of the spectrum. I believe they have like a mid-temperature, variant of the test and a high-temperature variant of the test. And initially, this test was slated to go, I think, at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 1 p.m. local, um, and then they moved it forward due to
Yeah.
weather in order to have appropriate temperatures, because it is the desert and things heat up fast as the day progresses and the sun rises higher in the sky, as I'm sure you know from working out at FAR.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
And
uh, yeah, go ahead.
believe it or not, so I tossed an image of this in the chat here. The Northrop Grumman Propulsion Products catalog is one of the coolest things you can ever look at. It's publicly available, and if we scroll down on this image, this is just specifically for the GEM 63XL, so that's what's flying on Vulcan. If we keep scrolling down, we see a plot of the expected thrust curve, and if you notice, gosh, they really do not scan these in high resolution, but there are three different thrust curves because these are the thrust curves at different temperatures, different starting temperatures for the motor. Obviously, it gets very hot in there, but 73, 90 degrees, 40 degrees, all Fahrenheit. And the motor burns significantly different depending on the weather. So it totally makes sense that they would want to delay and say, we want to fire at this exact temperature because we have all of the other constraints locked down. So why not lock down the temperature too?
Right. So that was the thing, is it was supposed to be at 1 p.m. Mountain, and they moved the test forward to 11 a.m. Mountain time. But there was delays on the day. I'm not quite sure what they were. Somebody said it might have been paperwork related, or maybe they were just checking all the boxes, dotting the T's, crossing the I's, whatever. And so the test ended up actually happening, I think at 12:30. So it actually did end up happening later in the day. I don't know if that is a factor or could have contributed, but certainly the booster could have heated up more than they wanted it to, given that they actually did want to fire it at 11 and not later in the day like that.
Yeah.
Now, would they have seen the temperature rise and be like, actually, let's fire a different day? Or would they have just said YOLO and light it if that was a thing? I don't know. I imagine if they saw temperatures they didn't want to see, they wouldn't have fired in the first place. But I don't know. That's really interesting, Joe.
I have a question. Do we know did they provide a number on exactly how long they thought it would burn?
Oh, yes, they did. I
127.
believe
127.
127. Thank you, Sawyer.
Yeah, 127 seconds.
And did anyone do a little math and see if they got to 127, if they went long or short?
102 is when the failure happened.
What'd you say, 102?
102, guys. Yep.
102. So there should be another, 20, 25 seconds or so. Do we know if it burns for another 25 seconds? Because the other thing is, I'm trying to figure out if they lost pieces of the throat, it'll burn longer. and that would tell us how bad some of the damage is. Whether it's if they lose the throat, the whole thing's going to slow down. But I did not actually look, so I'm just guessing.
Sawyer, do we have any viewer questions? You want to take it for a second? I will actually go and look at my footage.
Yeah, we got the footage there on screen. Once it happens, we got to see if we can start a timer and see if we get
Or we
to
could
the
do
full
that.
127. Yep, so there's the start of it. There's the main observation. And start the clock. If someone has an actual stopwatch going.
I'm looking at the clock. It's been 5 seconds-ish. There's
Still going.
10.
Still going.
There's 15 now.
They haven't commanded the
Still looks like a rocket.
20.
insertion part yet. Waiting for the
25.
swing arm.
27.
It's
Oh.
pretty
So, yeah,
hard to
anything-
tell, but that looks longer.
Well, once they
It's-
command,
it's
that's
tricky
right
'cause-
there as they command the carbon dioxide stuff.
Got it. It's
And
tricky
that's
because they continue to burn for a little while after thrust termination or whatever. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah, solids are like one thing that you can look for if you ever want to know if someone's good or bad at solid motors. I mean, it's harder when they get bigger, but look for a really clean shutdown. That's like the way to get your highest ISP is like shut off fast. Because as soon as you start burning at lower pressures, you're wasting fuel. But it's really hard with big ones like this.
Yeah.
man.
What a sight. But yes, as you pointed out, we do have questions. Let's see. Trying to get around the whole new username thing. It may take a second. Adrian asking, why can't they use the same type of nozzle vectoring that they use for liquid engines on solid rocket motors?
You'd have to move the entire SRB. The whole SRB would have to be on a giant pendulum. Because how a liquid motor works is the whole motor actually moves. The turbine machinery, combustion chamber, everything moves. But the problem is the SRB is like 20 stories tall. It's that one's pretty big. It's guys, it's about as I don't know what is that five segment's almost as big as a Falcon 9 first stage, and it's way more mass intense. There's a lot more things inside of it that are kind of heavy. I mean, I know it's mass, right? So you'd have to like turn the entire SRB. With that being said, like there are strap-on SRBs that do have movable nozzles, and this one definitely does too. But yeah, if you wanted to gimbal it like a liquid engine, you'd have to move the entire SRB. The whole thing would have to move. It would look like the robot from Interstellar. You know what I mean? We don't want that. That would be really hard to do. I mean, Joe, could you do it? Like,
I mean,
don't know.
listen, nothing's impossible, but you'd need a really
Right?
good reason to do it.
Yeah.
True. That is true. Let's see. J Volts, did the shuttle and SLS SRBs have the gimbals too? And is it the same type
yeah.
of gimbal? I'll add in as well.
Different gimbal, but they did gimbal, right? That was one of the improvements to the Bolle booster. If you remember back in the Starship like Booster 7 era, somewhere in there, it was like, oh, they're switching from hydraulic thrust vector control to electric thrust vector control. Well, guess what? Bolle is the same thing. They're switching from hydraulic thrust vector control to electric. Actually, Sawyer, is it hydraulic or is it like some kind of crazy hydrazine APU thing? I don't actually remember.
Yeah, I already see EJ nodding. You got this one.
Yeah, it is. It's hydrazine. They're using hydrazine with an APU down there. The whole aft skirt is nitrogen purged. I don't know if it's nitrogen purged in the electric one though. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, so just in general, I mean, I know we all love going down to the local pub and grabbing a nice cool glass of hydrazine, but I think it's probably a good thing to eliminate its use. That's a good improvement. It's a solid improvement.
And I think it is worth taking a second to kind of just talk about the fact that this is for SLS Block 2. We still have SLS Block 1B in the interim following the current iteration of SLS. So is worth trying to kind of point out what would the differences be. They're not really making any major changes to the solids for the Block 1B, right? This is all for Block 2, which is Artemis 9 and beyond.
Yeah, correct. It's basically they'll fly out the remaining steel casings and sets that they have, and then Artemis 9 and beyond, they will switch over to Bully if they even get that far. Like, I know a lot of people are like, "Will this even fly? What's the point?"
Jack,
Etc. And it's like,
ye of
do you
little
not?
faith.
Go ahead.
Ye of little faith. SLX for the next 100 years, baby. I think, keep it up. Let's run it back like 30 times.
SLS for 100 years, SLS forever, Rick and Morty SLS.
I've spent
Yeah,
long enough hating on SLS. Maybe I should just embrace it.
There you go.
I mean,
One could make the argument that it's a very sustainable program. Just saying.
I mean, it's definitely sustained itself so far quite a long time.
Right.
It's been around for years. Let's see. Along those lines, a different Jack was asking, does SLS even need thrust vector control on the boosters? I don't think people realize just how much work those SRBs put in to the stack. I mean, the RS-25s, don't get me wrong, they're fantastic engines, but it's the SRBs that does really most of the heavy lifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Joe, you want to take
it's a majority of the control authority of the vehicle at liftoff, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. I do want to just chime in really quickly here. What you are seeing is a 28-minute long video that I shot today at the Rocket Garden at Northrop Grumman's Promontory facility. It's a public rocket garden. If you're ever in Promontory or in the area, you can go walk around this place too. But if you can't, I walked around the whole thing and recorded it and like read the plaques and showed all the different motors in the Rocket Garden. So if you want that, it's going to be up for members in a little bit if it's not already. But that's a video I shot for members. Thank you, members. We appreciate you. And if you'd like that video, we're glad. It's not like I didn't like have a gimbal and do a whole fancy thing. But if you want to walk around the Rocket Garden in Promontory with me, there's a 28-minute video for you there.
Jack,
Anyways, that's what that
lo-fi
is.
beats around a rocket garden.
Nice.
It's a really cool place. It's honestly like worth the visit. And unlike some other rocket gardens, which are no longer accessible, this one you can just park right next to and walk right up to and walk right around. And the shuttle SRB that they have there, EJ, you were saying it's big. Like, and again, the SLS boosters are one more segment bigger, but it's a great way to get a sense of scale for how giant these things are.
It makes a great echoey noise when you bang on it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that, Sawyer?
I don't know. Not like there was a video recorded of Jack doing that at all. No,
You wouldn't do that though. You guys are professionals. You wouldn't do that.
I would never touch exhibits
Yeah.
in a yeah, no.
No, I'm totally not going to make that into a short now.
We were talking about control authority on SLS.
Right.
Does anyone have some numbers on how much thrust 4 RS-25s put out? So let's assume, I think peak thrust for this solid was 4 million pound force, technically. But, assume it's like 3.5 or 3 nominal, because they do like a peak or whatever. But I don't know how much the RS-25s make. So if you have 4 of those, we can just sort of game it out.
I know it, but it's in kilonewtons. It's 2,400 kilonewtons at 452 seconds specific impulse. I'd have to translate that back.
2,400 kilonewtons.
What even is a kilonewton?
Yeah. What is a kilonewton?
Okay, so that's about a 500,000 pound force, and that's per RS-25, or that's all together?
Yeah, that's per. Yep.
Okay, so RS-25s are doing a little over like 2 million pound force in thrust, and then the boosters, if there are 2 of them, are doing at, I would say, minimum 6 million. So they are doing a lot of lifting, and that means they're also probably doing a lot of control. So yeah, I think the TVC on the SRBs is probably necessary.
Joe, you want to hear something crazy? Not only do these SRBs have thrust vector control, the big ones on SLS and the shuttle, it's 8 degrees.
That's
8 degrees of vector,
beefy.
that's nutty.
Yeah.
That's a lot of turn.
Yeah, that's beefy.
It's really tough to take a jet of fire and make it go that way and that way, you know.
This stuff is so huge. It's really hard to remember just how big these things are. I looked at, you can find out how big the separation motors are on these SRBs. I think I was looking at it specifically for shuttle, but the stuff that I build is huge. I'm making stuff with like 100+ pounds of propellant in it. These are enormous motors. And it's like half of a separation motor, of which there are many for these like solids. It's crazy. I don't think it's easy to convey the scale of this stuff.
There were SEP motors in the Rocket Garden in that walk around video.
Yeah.
So if you want to get a sense of scale for those, you can check it out.
It turns out,
I hate to keep plugging it, but like shameless plug, it's a good.
If you stack 2 SEP motors, you can go to space.
Yeah, baby, let's go. Let's go.
Oh yeah, someone was asking, theoretically, could this SRB become an SSTO? There you go.
Probably.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
on its own.
absolutely. By itself, I'd be worried about the nose cone melting at that point. That thing would go up like a sprint missile. Just bye-bye.
Yeah, that's all right. Could you imagine a rocket that's just a carbon composite solid that flies only on that and sometimes successfully makes it to space? Sorry, Issa.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you imagine how ugly it would be if they made a rocket just out of a shuttle SRB and then like put a crew capsule on top and like a dummy? It would be so ugly.
Oh,
you know?
God. Who would do
That's
that?
Mean. That's mean. Stop it. That's so mean.
That's a
Ares
stupid
one is
rocket.
beautiful. It's beautiful. There's
Can I
dozens of
meet
us
you
that
guys in
like
the-
it, okay? Dozens.
Okay.
Or SRBX.
I like- Oh no.
SRBX is
not-
amazing.
Please, no. Can we all agree on Omega? That would be pretty. We should just do that. That's cool.
Omega.
Just take these. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Oh
I
my
can
God.
hear is
It's
Scott
worth-
Manley saying Omega.
Omega.
Which, I mean,
I'm glad I'm not
technically,
the only one who has Scott's voice in their head at random times, just like living rent free.
Yep.
I do want to say as we bring up Omega, yes, similar rocket, also different. One of the things they said on the tour was that Omega and Bole kind of started off with similar heritage, but then diverged rapidly, quote, more than they would have liked. Maybe I shouldn't have said quote. Either way, they're different. And I know there was a lot of people who were like, oh, this mature technology and this should be a solved problem. They've been building these since the 70s. Maybe I've had too much Kool-Aid. Completely different. Not a lot. I mean, I'm sure there's some heritage there, but not the same thing.
You know what else is a mature technology is COPVs, and we blow those things up all the time, allegedly, right? Like, man, this is the other thing is I'm gonna try not to go on a rant about SLS, but like, if you're not
do it.
No, okay. If you're not flying stuff really often or you're not like testing things really often, it gets really hard to maintain the skill of your workforce that's building the rocket. And so like, yeah, we've been building COPVs for a while. We've been building solid rockets for a while, but you know who builds solid rockets now is completely different people than who were doing it in the 70s, because the people who are in the 70s are retired or they're gone. And so like, if you don't pass down the knowledge, right? Oh, look at this. Mature technology. Anyway,
retaining a technical base is super important. I mean, Joe, I think you're right. That's one of the things that's plagued the SLS program. Like and that's not just speculation. That's what we've read from like OIG reports.
Mm-hmm.
The Office of Investigators said like the EUS. So that's the Block 1B upper stage, the big upper stage that was supposed to fly on SLS like first, but then somebody was like, no, let's put a Delta stage on top. But I digress. That program is plagued from inexperience because there's nobody around making big upper stages.
Yeah,
we haven't done that for a long time.
Yeah, we can forget how to do things.
That's not good. That's part of the reason why I said like, SpaceX is having all these failures. No, don't take your foot off the gas. You got to keep going. Don't slow down.
Mm-hmm.
You could lose that knowledge could go out the door, and that's not good to do with rapid iteration. It's a bad idea.
Yeah. Man.
It's a terrifying thing to think about, especially like
Right?
I don't know if you guys saw Destin's recent video where he's trying to make like the
Oh
super
my God.
scrubber and he goes into the atrophy of American manufacturing and how you like can't get tooling made here. Things like that are far more disturbing to me than a lot of other things I could be terrified about in today's day and age. And it's like it I don't know if it just tickles the like post-apocalyptic sci-fi dystopian loving part of my brain, but it's terrifying to imagine all of the things that we've unlearned and a horrible future in which we've unlearned a lot more and things like our smartphones or the internet or any of the facets of modern technology that we take for granted right now become a thing that we just don't have anymore or don't know how to do. We know how to do is copy it, not improve it. That's frankly terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to
Okay.
be the proverbial medieval peasant that looks at the Roman Colosseum, the Flavian Amphitheater, and go, "Huh? How'd they make that?" No, nope, don't want to do that.
Wow, going old school with that reference, literally.
Yeah,
Um,
Hey, we can do the Roman Colosseum thing because the SRBs are the size they are because Roman whatever. That's a whole thing, right? Is that even true? I don't know if that's true.
I I don't know. All I know is
Roman
Alex wanted
road.
you to talk about comparing the test to a Roman candle.
It's kind of like that. It's just bigger, right?
Can't turn it off midway through, right?
You can turn it off. You just have to be comfortable also disassembling it. You can
Yeah.
totally turn an
See,
SRB off.
you just don't want to destroy your test stand like
Yeah.
some other companies.
Yeah, you just have to make some compromises about how you do it.
Right.
So not reusable then, Joe?
I always kind of thought it was funny that they said the SRBs for the shuttle were reusable. I mean, I wasn't there making it happen, but like making a steel tube isn't that hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating it, but
Tube.
That was
Yeah.
one of the things they showed us on the tour yesterday, like the
Mhm.
facility where they would bring the casings in, sort of like wash them, sandblast them, clean them out,
Right.
and then inspect them to make sure that they were no dings, dents, or what have you, and then reline them, restack them, etc. It's yeah,
I have to
reusable is
imagine
a
it wasn't a crazy cost saving, if at all.
Well, Joe, it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because, okay, so the SRBs were reused, but they weren't reused because reusing SRBs makes sense. There was another thing at play there. So think about Falcon 9 for a second. Falcon 9 reuses the fairings, right?
Mhm.
Fairings they're not expensive to make, right? They're not expensive to make. So why the heck does why did SpaceX bother, having these things like parafoil down and going and fishing them out and bringing them back? If it's an inconsequential cost compared to like a first stage.
Yeah, it's what,
So
$6
why is
million?
SpaceX?
I mean, you got $6
Yeah,
million to spend, right?
it's
I mean,
nothing.
whatever.
Yeah, no, dude, I got let me go get that. It's
You
in
guys
my
have like a million
Rocket
YouTube
account.
subscribers, so I think that means you're good.
Yeah. We'll email you the details.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. So it's not a big cost compared to the rest of the entire vehicle. But the reason why SpaceX reuses their fairings is because they can't make them fast enough.
Oh.
Can't make them fast enough.
Okay.
So think about it for a second with SRBs. SRBs aren't hard to make, but the shuttle was supposed to support a flight rate flying once a week, so that's 52 times a year.
Yeah.
Now having all those casings makes a lot of sense because Joe, it takes time to cast the propellant.
Yeah.
You have to let it sit there. You have to let it cure. It's a long lead right there. So you need a lot of them. You need to keep the supply line going. You need a wide bandwidth of casing. So reusing them makes sense in that regard. That's what the shuttle was trying to do. I mean, they never did it, but that's what they're trying to do.
I had never connected those dots, but that totally makes sense. Yeah, because the shuttle had pretty high aspirations for flight rate. So yeah, at some point it's like, I don't know that we would have enough steel to do it, or at least not like open up a completely new supply chain situation or whatever. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, so when people complain, why aren't they reusing them still for SLS? Well, there's the factor of A, they're not going to need as many of them, and B, they weren't that reusable. And I think that's the important thing to point out. As you were mentioning, the casings are the reusable parts. The interior basically has to be blasted clean every single time. And as you pointed out, it's inspected for dents, dings, any fractures, anything that could cause issues. But then they had to reapply every single piece of the interior. So all you were doing was reusing the steel tubes, basically.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you guys mentioned the casings, because I was looking at that BOLE booster, right? And I noticed that they have bonded carbon fiber segments, and at the forward and aft part of each segment, with the exception of the aft segment, which has the throat and the nozzle, they are still using steel rings and a steel clevis with the 3 O-ring design from the late 80s to connect these segments together, which is interesting. I mean, Joe, I don't know, can you speak to binding carbon fiber to steel, like, and not having it pop? Like, that's pretty impressive if my understanding of material science is right.
This okay, I'm gonna armchair engineer really hard, but like this feels like the wrong way to solve the problem. You should just make the motors in Florida. I know there's politics, there's all sorts of other stuff involved. Yeah, oh my god. But man, if you're gonna be a bear, be a grizzly. If you're gonna make a carbon fiber case, go all the way. Make the whole case. I didn't realize that they were doing the field join segments again. That's
There's no factory
surprising.
joints, but there are still field joints on a carbon composite case.
Huh.
Yeah, the segments. I mean, look, if you look at that shot of the booster right here that's on the street, you see the white stripes on it going up the side.
Yeah,
they're still using the steel 3 O-ring clevis that Morton Thiokol engineered in the late 1980s, and that's bonded to a carbon fiber cylinder. It's okay.
What I will say is one of the things they showed us is the insulated material around those joints has a new it's almost like a void and a finger, and when the booster ignites, the pressure goes into that void and pushes the finger of insulated material against the seal, so it seals the insulation before it even gets to the joint. And they're saying they don't even see burn all the way through, like, even, all the way through that insulated finger over the joint. So they're not even getting close to the third O-ring, let alone the second or the first. I thought that little insulated finger thing was really cool when they showed it to us.
Yeah, it's a great design, to be honest with you. Really good.
Insulated finger.
Bonding steel to carbon fiber.
It was something like this. I can't draw good, but it was something like that. And when this piece pushes up against that other piece. I'm in a hotel.
Jack,
there's a pen and paper right here. I'm sorry.
I have some animation for a video coming up. Are you available for hire?
Dude, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, bonding for carbon fiber, the problem with carbon fiber that I think you guys are all familiar with, but like, stress concentrations are really bad for composites, right? And so but the best way to do it, I think in this case, is I'm sure they're pinning it through the carbon fiber. And the only way to solve that problem is you just pin it with like 100 Gorbillion pins and say, we're spreading the load out enough. It should be fine. I don't know. That really frustrates me that it's not one huge case.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but you're right. It would be really logical, perhaps not politically feasible, but logical. Make one monolithic case, pour it right where you're going to launch it from, eliminates the transportation problem and the need to segment it. But I mean, Northrop has Promontory. Like, they have this whole huge facility. They bought ATK. Like,
they did that enormous solid, the AJ something 60 whatever.
260.
What'd you say?
Was it the AJ 260?
I think so. Yeah. And I recently did like a Google Maps deep dive where I just like looked at the whole facility, and it's in Florida. Like, we have. I think the site is probably pretty bad in shape right now, but like, we know that we can make solids in Florida. I just think that we're not living in the ideal world to solve all the problems.
I mean, fellas, there's another thing to consider here. I'm pretty sure like a 5-segment SRB fully fueled, even if you made it like one big piece, I'm pretty sure that'd be like 250 tons. That would not be something that would be easy to move around.
Yeah, that's
just
fair.
just put it. No matter where you manufacture it, that's why they're segmented in the first place. Like one of those segments is really really heavy.
That's fair. Yeah.
What, issues with SLS and mass? No, never.
Hey, as long as they don't forget to measure the weight of the wires or whatever, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to take a second and mention, Joe, that your space shot that you've been working on, I'm so appreciative of all the content you've been putting out for that, because going into the tour and going into this test, this isn't my first time at Promontory. Like I've been there before for the FSB test. I, in theory, know about rockets, right? Like I've been a nerd about rockets my entire life, but step by step going through the process of you know, modeling everything and testing everything and building your motor for your space shot has, I felt so much better prepared. Like yesterday when they showed us the casting pits, they're like, and here's the vacuum belt because we do everything under vacuum. And I'm like, aha, I remember that from when Joe was mixing propellant. Like it's really cool, man. Thank
I'm
you.
glad to hear that, dude. Were you like that Leo DiCaprio meme where he's on the chair and he's like up, and he like points at it and he's like, I know what that is.
Yes.
Yeah,
That was
no,
me
I
all
love
day.
that. I love that. I mean, I do that. Northrop has a video of them making the Gem 63s or 63 XL, and I do that the whole video. I'm like frame by frame, like, okay, I think I know what they're doing here, or like, why are they using this tool? Blah blah blah. Man, that's a there's some good and bad static fires in here.
Yeah, this is some footage from Joe. Like the slow motion and the macro shots and the process time lapse. Like, dude, I've said this to you before on stream. I will never not say it to you. Your cinematography work is fantastic. And
Thanks,
as
man.
someone who does a similar but very less good thing, I cannot stress enough that like you put so much work into the rockets. You clearly put an equal, if not more, potentially amount of work into the content around the rockets as well. And it's really great. If you out there in viewerland have not seen Joe's channel or have not watched any of his videos, boy howdy, you really need to, and you will learn so much about solid motors.
This is the thing, man. I don't want to get on my soapbox too hard, but like we can forget things, right? Like we definitely can forget things. We can forget how to build stuff. And so I want to like point a camera at everything I do because I forget stuff too. The number of times that I've done a project and forgotten how it works, I can go back and be like, how did we do this before? And it's just free documentation. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
It's free
Absolutely.
camera work. It's free real
Go
estate.
ahead.
It's free.
No, what were you gonna say?
Go ahead, Sawyer.
I was gonna say I don't know how much time we have with you, Joe. I don't want to take up too much, but just wondering how much time we have for questions with you.
I got about 5-10 more minutes.
Okay, then let's take a couple more viewer questions while we have them. Here's one from Tim who's asking, question for Joe. Is this like the time the Vulcan rocket innovated mid-flight? I mean, I know we don't know any causation yet, but any similarities that you can tell?
First of all, I do want to say ULA put out a video on their channel about the Gem 63 XL, like recovering it and trying to investigate what happened. And I thought that was really good for transparency. That was pretty surprising, just to give props where
It's a fantastic video.
Yeah, they show
Really
them
fantastic video.
pulling it out of the ocean. It's awesome. I don't know if this is the same as the one on Vulcan. I get the sense that it's not. It sounds like Bole. I can't. It sounds wrong. I've been pronouncing it Bole. But I feel like this bigger motor just has so many different aspects to it, especially the thrust vector control stuff, that my guess is it's. Oh, I have a great comparison I can draw. What is it? Flight 7 and Flight 8, the Starship explodes around the same point, and everyone thinks, it's got to be Pogo a second time, and it's not. It's like a completely different failure mode. And I bet this is similar. Like you can have things that explode in similar ways outwardly, but it's caused by a different thing. And I bet that's the case. I bet it's not the same. But it's funny that it looks the same.
It really does.
Does Northrop have a nozzle problem? Is that something? Is that a thing?
I think given that it's Omega and Gem 63 and Bole, I feel like they have a nozzle problem. but I don't think these are the same failure.
Nozzles are hard.
And
you
just to be
think-
clear, we're all speculating, right? It could be something completely different, but
I mean, do you think that Joe or anybody, do you guys think that it might have to do with like them trying to change the materials of these boosters? Like, you know, we got carbon composite parts, you know, you have aluminum parts instead of steel in certain areas. Like, you know, with the graphite epoxy motor, Joe, I believe you said there's like a piece around the throat for heating purposes. I with the GM 63XL, I forget exactly what it is. Do you think it's because they're trying to mess with like materials that we have previously used, like on SRBs?
yeah,
You know, and if they are, they're in uncharted territory, right? Like,
yeah.
guess what? There's no old dude that's retired that you can go like, hey, what am I going to do with a carbon composite casing with a 5-segment SRB? And it'd be like, well, back in my day, that doesn't exist, right? Like,
Yeah, and we weren't actually doing these big. I mean, we weren't doing nearly as many composites back in like decades ago. One thing that I assume y'all watched the post test conference that they did. Just a quick little post test interview, and you know, predictably they have shareholders, so they're not going to be like, yeah, it exploded. They were like, what a great test, an amazing success today for Northrop Grumman. But they did say, they were like, we pushed pretty hard on some of the margins just to see where we could you know, save mass or simplify things. So I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that's different in here. And they said whether they knew it exploded or not, I bet they did, but they did say like, we pushed pretty hard on the margins, so if we find something that didn't work as well as we thought, that wouldn't be surprising. They aren't testing a motor that's fired 1,000 times.
And
I don't want to get on my soapbox too hard here, but I really do feel like the biggest problem yesterday wasn't the anomaly necessarily. To me, it was messaging. I think there's issues with messaging in terms of, is this a brand new rocket or not, or is it just a boring swap in replacement for the shuttle? I think maybe they went too hard on the latter to their detriment. Of course, I'm biased as a news media person and content creator.
well,
And also messaging in terms of, hey, we're pushing the margins. Like, why not say that before the test? Like, hey, we're pushing the margins. We might see some funky stuff. Be excited. Like,
Yeah.
that's the right way to message that.
Yeah, that's what makes all debut rocket flights exciting, right? When you're like, when the company itself is like, if it doesn't kill all of our infrastructure, it's a huge success. And I don't think this did.
Right. And it's still early. That's the other thing to point out. We're talking Ares, no. Artemis 9.
Yes!
No.
yes,
No.
Mm-mm.
Darn it,
Come
of all
to
the
the dark
things I've said on
side.
air, that's one of the worst ones.
come to the dark side, Sawyer.
We're talking Artemis 9, which at this rate probably won't be until the 2030s. So they have time to fix it at least, and they have at least one more of the DMs scheduled before additional testing after that. What were they, QMs or something? So
Yeah, Sawyer, that's the other thing. The BOLE project manager, I'm blanking on his name, and I apologize in advance. He said that if something went, he said this after the test. And once again, Jack probably should have said this before, right? Probably would have been a better thing to do. But he said that you know, if something goes funky with this thing, we could be back on the test stand with another qual motor sooner rather than later. Now, I mean, I don't know what sooner rather than later means, but that's pretty cool that they can just rebound right back.
yeah.
Keep making more. They should be doing a test every day. That'd be awesome.
That was like one of the things we saw on the factory tour was basically
Oh, no.
in one of the
Oh,
buildings,
no.
in that building where they had the
No.
cleaning stations, every single bay was full of a shuttle SRB casing. And they basically, they can clean them and prep them, but they can't load prop in them because there's a lifetime to the prop. And so they're like, yeah, it's kind of hard to work in here at times because every bay is full of casings because we have way more capacity than we thought we'd be flying more by now. It's just like, oh, dang, do more tests, fly more, fly SLS more. Like, I feel like I might have drank a little bit too much Kool-Aid.
No,
but
man.
Jack,
Flight
that's-
rate's everything. Flight rate is everything.
Flight rate and hardware rich, Joe, right? Like,
Mhm.
you got to. What are you going to do? The next test? You're going to do the next test in like 6 years because SLS isn't flying for another 10? Like, no. Put another one of these suckers out on the test stand. Do it sooner rather than later, and then have another one teed up after that. Just send it.
Yeah.
Or SRB casings. Let's go.
Yep.
Here's one from Ethereal Swordsman saying, first, hey Joe, they should totally use hybrid rocket boosters. You love those, right?
Oh, I'm gonna be sick between this and Ares 1X.
Real talk though, I wish they'd gone with liquid fueled boosters that use modernized F1s still. I mean, what's the point still of going with solids? I mean, we know the answer, and this was going to basically be because thrust and they're crazy capable, but what are your thoughts on if they had switched to liquid instead of not having to rely on shuttle derived hardware?
I have a different answer for why solids, and it's the U.S. thinks a lot about national security and wanting to be able to make lots and lots and lots of missiles. When you see that, we're not going to get political, but you see that in the way that we spend money in the U.S. And that means that like one of the things that tries to get prioritized, and it's like why the shuttle, it's part of why the shuttle used solid boosters, and it's part of why SLS uses solid boosters, not the whole reason, but the US wants to maintain the ability to build lots of missiles, and those are all solid fuel. As for why not liquid, I mean, in the absence of that, I don't know, I feel like I'm kind of unqualified for that question, but I'm too solids pilled to answer the why not liquid.
I do think that's really it's worth mentioning that, Joe. We talk about, sometimes SLS being a jobs program or things like that. Like part of the whole calculus of all of this and all of the trade-offs, as with rockets, there's so many. And the reason this capability has been maintained for so long is because all of the Minuteman rockets, all of their solid boosters and whatnot were manufactured, I think, in Bacchus here in Utah, at one of Northrop's facilities. And you have to keep that manufacturing base going because, as we were talking about a few minutes ago, that loss of knowledge and that brain drain is a real thing organizationally. So, to keep it going, even if it's costly or doesn't make the most sense in some of the other areas of trade-offs, that is something that is important to the U.S. from a national security perspective. And I think it's worth mentioning, Northrop Grumman does have the contract with the government to build the next generation of ICBM. And I have to wonder if that's part of what played into the no photos and no audio recording, et cetera, on the tour, because we did walk through a massive hallway where they were building a whole bunch of different nozzles and a whole bunch of different rocket parts that were not for Bull A or shuttle RSRMs.
Yeah.
And they did not want to talk about what those were.
Yeah.
So, like that's a thing.
Yeah, it's good to be Northrop Grumman with $100 billion contract to build a bunch of missiles. Good day to be
I
Northrop.
love Gorbillion. I haven't worked Gorbillion into my vocabulary yet, but every time you say it, it delights me.
Well, it's the same thing. You guys know this, right? I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with all this stuff, but like, why did the space station start happening? That we had the idea for space station freedom, and years passed and whatever. And one of the reasons, not all of them, but one of the reasons was the Soviet Union fell, and the U.S. government was like, we need to make sure that the scientists and engineers do a job that we like instead of a job that we don't like, and that means we should put them to work on a big space station instead of let them go to a different country and build a bunch of defense stuff. I'm so simplifying a ton of stuff, but it's one of the reasons that the space station gets made at all. And so there are a lot of these decisions for like why rocket architectures look like that. Like EJ, I bet you could talk for 1,000 hours about why the space shuttle ends up as a space plane and not something different. And like a lot of it is political, right?
Yep. Sawyer too. Yeah, we could go on about this for a long time. Like the shuttle's payload bay being 15 by 45, and that just conveniently is the size of an Earth observation satellite.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Hubble fit in there perfect.
Nothing to worry about.
No, it's good. Everything's fine.
Nope. Yeah, it's a good thing Hubble fit exactly perfectly in there, and that was its only purpose, was originally for observing the universe, not Earth. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All the other satellites are wrong.
This is the best. Thank you so much for being on, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having me.
So So we let you go at this point. I think we've abused enough of your time, your valuable time.
No, this was fun. Thank you guys for having me on. I like talking about solids, and I wish they didn't blow up so often, but it is really pretty when they do.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody go watch Joe's channel. He's working on a motor for a space shot. He just did a static fire. So like go watch it. Is that video out yet, Joe?
No, it's coming out soon. I filmed the whole thing. You were talking about cinema photography earlier, as they say, and yeah, no, filmed it in 4K and 1,000,000 frames per second. Also, shout out to Tim Dodd for loaning me a bunch of cameras. But yeah, no, bunch of cool videos coming soon.
Tim's the GOAT. Joe has a Patreon too, so if you don't want to wait, I think there's some of that content up there already for patrons for him as well. Joe, thanks again, man.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right. That was awesome. Honestly, I had no idea about Joe's channel until he came on. I think it may have been for the Vulcan one, and I've kind of binged his channel since, and I absolutely love it. So that is so cool.
Super bingeable.
Joe's videos make me hungry because he launched steak into space.
He cooked it.
Meat rocket.
Well, mostly cooked it. Kind of. It was edible-ish.
It's called high stakes, Jack. Jeez.
So good.
Yeah. I won't reveal exactly how well it went because you'll have to watch it. But anyway, let me now get through the support that we've been getting because I know it's backed up for a bit and try and continue to navigate YouTube's new naming system. Space Pope, as always, blessing this observation trench. We thank you, oh mighty Space Pope, for that. Oron Quake, thank you for becoming a Padrat member. Phil Johnston, thank you for gifting a Red Team membership. Mighty Don, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Very much appreciated. Mr. Fluffies saying this Flame Trench anomaly brought to you by Jacko Bell.
Nice.
Oh man. You could say it was a Baja blast of a test.
Oh, EJ, what's that look for? Come on, that was good. You got to give him props on that one.
Just because I like Baja Blast, sure. Why not?
He's so mad about it.
Oh my god. Yeah. A case of retobservation. No, I have no idea. I haven't eaten Taco Bell in 15 years.
Obserito. It'd be an obserito.
That's it. I handed my pun tokens. I quit. Jack wins.
Wow.
Oh god, that's gonna be clipped out of context now, isn't it?
It's the internet, man. We could say something normal like I'm eating a sandwich and someone would be like, it's like,
I bet Space Pope makes a song out of that now.
No, I
I'm
know they're
eating
gonna.
a sandwich. I'm eating like Space Pope's gonna do it.
I thought they
Do
were
it,
gonna take
please.
the Jack wins thing and put it next to a bagel comment, so that was my worry.
Also good.
This person who says "Say my name," their name is William Foss. YouTube stinks. Astro Ellie, thank you for the super chat, and Michael Coviello saying thank you NSF, great content today, and always nice to see Joey B on the Flame Trench. Always nice to have him on. And Jack and whoever this weird beardless guy is.
Hi. My name's Jeff.
He's the middle box is sus. Anyway, why did I say that on the internet?
You did it again. You did the thing again.
Again, then again, I've also sung things on the internet, so yeah. Let's not talk about that though. Let's move on to the next topic. Oh, what do you mean, Kevin? You have something to play, Kevin?
Kevin. Hi,
What do you
Kevin.
have?
Hi, Kevin.
Why is there another goal? I used to get paid to sing. Just saying. Don't make me go eating guacamole. No, I will. Eating guacamole. I will. Go. Gabbing. You're welcome. Anyway, I even got the rhymes in there, okay? Thank you so much, Jay. Hooray.
Kind of slaps.
Gotta admit, that
It
kind of
honestly kind
slaps.
of it kind of slaps. I don't hate it.
No, everyone hated when people put in towards the goal for me to sing. I didn't want to sing. I finally sing, and everyone's like, "Oh God, no, don't unsing." I'm like, "What do you want? Did you want a beat or something with it?" Well, now, thanks to Space Pope, we have a beat with it too. So, also, I love just Alex's sighs in the background. And Chris Bergen, NSF official, saying, "When I started NSF in 2005, I always dreamed this would be the end goal." So, glad we made dreams come true here, folks, today, because that totally wasn't sarcastic in any way, shape, or form. I guess we should move on now, because I'm getting off.
No, it's fine. Keep digging. I mean, we should segue.
Yeah, I totally, that wasn't a smooth segue at all of, oh, we don't need to hear me sing. Oh, wait, Kevin, you have something to play? Yeah. Everyone believes that was legit, then I have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Anyway, I'm totally not stalling while I try and find my pronunciation guide once again for our next story. And that...
Breaking. Oh,
Breaking news! This thing is stinking adorable, and this stinking adorable thing is Joy, and that is a baby swan, and that was the zero-G indicator for Axiom 4, which just recently launched and docked to the International Space Station. So, finally, this mission had been long delayed. The original plan was earlier in the month, and then there was an issue with locks. There was a slight leak with in the engine area on the booster, so they said, you know what, let's stand down a day. And in that day, NASA decided to say, hey, yeah, ISS is kind of leaking a little more than we thought, so it's probably not a great idea to send even more people up, using up more of the life support systems, to breathing more of our air that's already kind of leaking. So, yeah, they said, you know what? All right, we'll hold off. And hold off they did. And hold off. And hold off. Finally, after multiple delays and all of that, we got the launch date that we all deserved, which was this past, what was it, 25th? 2 days ago? I've lost track. It's been a busy week with Kuiper happening also this week. There were 2 double headers this week out of the Cape, but Axiom 4 finally launched the Crew of 4, bringing 3 countries to the space station for the first time, and those same 3 countries into space only for the second time ever. Commanded, of course, by the all-time leading astronaut at NASA, or in the United States. She's not at NASA anymore, Peggy Whitson, who was just recently inducted into the U.S. Astronaut Hall of Fame. She now has 677 or 78 days and counting. It was 675 at liftoff. That was then joined by the pilot Shubhanshu Shukla from India and ISRO. We had, oh boy, here we go again, Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski. We had a lot of discussions before we went live with the correct pronunciation on that one.
That's pretty good, Sawyer. That's
thank
pretty
you.
good, man.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
We practiced. From Poland as part of the ESA partnership program as well. And then Tibor Kapu, who was with the Hungarian space program, trying to get their first person into space, into the space station, and second into space. These countries have not been into space since 1978, 1980, and 1984. The big one, of course, being that this is going to be a huge science mission and that this would have the most science ever launched on any Axiom mission. They launched with 60 different experiments from 31 different countries on board. So besides the ones that are already on board, there was also Brazil, UAE, Nigeria, I believe was on there. There's some cool ones about regrowing muscles. There was an eye insert to see if there's a chemical that can actually help maintain eye shape while you're in space, because in case you didn't know, your eyeball in space goes flat and it causes vision problems. So this is a way to see if they can kind of keep the shape of the eyeball. Now, the one that the astronauts will be testing doesn't have the actual material on it, but they'll be testing it over the course of 5 days. There is one that they won't be wearing that has the active material in it that they're testing to see how it behaves in space. One's to see how wearables work in space, one to see how computer monitors change, one to see how voice recognition can be used because your voice changes the longer you're in space, so to see if it can still identify your voice. One of the big ones that you may have heard about is insulin. They're testing to see if someone who is diabetic and needs insulin can actually fly into space and to see how that monitoring would work. There's Julia pointed out really two very cool ones to me while I was at the press site. So Julia, you may not have heard her on stream, but doing awesome work as well. Apparently, they're also bringing the first bottle of champagne into space. Somehow they came up with a mechanism to control the bubbles and everything so that you can open a champagne bottle and not have things go all over the place. And the other one is more regionalized space food. So, since this is Poland's first time to the ISS, ESA has these Astro Pierogies. This is one of the type of ones that they sent up to the ISS with the crew. It is a freeze-dried dumpling with cabbage and mushrooms, and you can either eat it dry or add 230 mils of hot water, seal and wait for 15 minutes, and then drain the excess, and
Oh
voila.
my god, that sounds so good. I want one.
There was only one left, but it's in here. The little pierogi is in here. The question is, I guess, do I save it? Do I eat it as a members thing?
Eat
I
it.
don't know.
Eat it as a members thing. Eat it as a members thing.
Dude, just
Members,
eat
what
it
do you
right
think?
now.
Eat it
No,
right now.
just eat it right now. We're hungry. Go. Do it.
I'm actually really hungry, and I don't want to peer pressure you into opening some space memorabilia that you don't want to open. So don't feel like you have to do it. But also,
But
I wish with all my heart that you would eat it right now live on air. That would be amazing. That would be really good content.
I have until May 2026. That's the best before date. So
Nice. Just make sure you eat it before then. I went on a tour of NASA Armstrong, formerly NASA Dryden, at Edwards Air Force Base as part of the Moon to Mars event for Artemis, like way back, I think in like 2019 before Artemis 1. And they showed us like the U2 pilots suit up area and the U2 pilots tube food, which is a thing because they have to have a similar thing to astronauts where they have like a hole in their helmet and they can like stick a tube in there and the food is all like a toothpaste tube. They squeeze the food in their mouth. Because we were the last tour of the day, they offered to give us the tube food that they had been using to demonstrate to all of the previous tours. So they gave me a key lime pie with caffeine in it, tube food and I kept it in my house on my shelf for like 6 months or like a year, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna somehow remove the key lime pie with caffeine stuff and replace it with like resin, so I have like this perfect little display item. Turns out it leaked all over my shelf, and that shelf got ruined by key lime pie with caffeine tube food. So don't do that. Don't be like me.
well, this is freeze dried, so I think we're okay on
We're
that
good.
part.
We're good.
That was, I would say that's not your most graceful moment, Jack. What is graceful, literally, is what's on your screen right there, the brand new Dragon capsule named Grace. There was some mixed reactions to it. I know some people are like, well, it strays from the traditional. You've got endurance, resilience, endeavor. Which one am I forgetting?
Freedom.
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 Yeah.
Can't forget about freedom, man.
And grace.
And yeah.
What are the
Freedom
thoughts?
isn't free,
I
sir.
want to know your guys' thoughts on the name, and then we'll take some questions about all the Axiom 4 stuff.
I don't know. I don't know about you, Jack. I mean, I don't mind. You can call the spacecraft whatever you want. And Grace is certainly a fine name for a spacecraft. I guess like it doesn't like jive with the rest of the names. Like, so like I don't
Does
know.
it?
I'm kind of
I feel like
indifferent.
it
I'm like,
does.
all right. You could have named it
I feel like it. I mean, it definitely resonates with resilience to me. Like it's
super
qualities.
awesome super capsule or something. Like I'd be like okay, what? Wait, what?
I feel like I feel like it matches. I mean,
what?
yeah, like resilience, dude. It's like a quality in humans that is admirable, or like one of the best qualities of humanity, resilience. And grace is something that I feel like we've lost a lot of. And perhaps in that same vein is an apt name for a spacecraft of which there are others named for admirable human qualities.
Yeah, all right. That makes sense. Like I said, I don't hate it. I was just kind of indifferent. But Jack, that's a good point. All right.
I
I'm coming
understand,
around.
like, we all want it to be named like Cool Ship 7 or like whatever we're naming stuff in Kerbal. Like, I'm like Crappy 1, Crappy 1B, Crappy Full Size. Like, all of my rockets in Kerbal are terrible names. But like, I get you. We want it to be a cool name like Butt Kicker 7 or something. But, you know, Grace, I think, is really cool and appropriate. But you're allowed to feel however you feel.
Like I said, guys, I'm not hating. It's just I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. All right. My it was activating my almonds up there. I'm like, it's like resilience, endeavor, freedom, like that grace. Maybe because it's one syllable. I don't know. Like it's just I don't know.
It's like the Jeb of spacecraft names.
Yeah.
Exclamation point. Grace.
Yeah.
Grace.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like that's cool. It's a cool name. I don't know. You can call it Bananarama, and I'd be like, all right, sweet. It's fine. But yeah, I'm not. I'm not
That'll be
hating
the
by
name of
any
the next
means.
starship.
Bananarama. Let's go. It's bananas.
Bananas for scale, yes. Bananaramas for scale.
It's a diorama that's a banana as well. It's a mat with different conclusions that you can jump to.
Dia-banana-rama?
Yeah.
It's a rocket you can launch bananas with.
That is
People
the
who haven't
worst
seen
idea.
Office Space are like, what's going on?
Call it Bub. Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique name choice. I will give it that. It is very different from the others. I'm trying to see chat's reaction right now. There's a lot of people that actually do like it. I definitely see some people where it's, not great, but, people, it's more of a human name, I think, is the weirdest thing. It's kind of like
Yeah.
it's something you would actually name a person.
Yeah, it's like, we have Sputnik and Soyuz, and then we have Jeff. It's like, what? Was that last one? But I mean, the way I guess I was thinking about it like it was a proper name, right? Like it was a proper noun instead of like an adjective, which
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah,
Like, it'd
I
be
don't
like
know.
naming a spacecraft Ted. Like,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, exactly, dude.
no shade to anyone out there named Ted. Good name, quality name.
Ted's a great
3
name.
letters gets the job done. But yeah, if you were like, this is Dragon Ted, I'd be like,
all right. Yeah,
okay.
that's how I was looking at it. I'm like, wait, that kind of like, wait, what?
Ted's
But I
Excellent
suppose if you think
Adventure
about
to
it-
Space.
Yeah, Bill and Ted's. Let's go. Excellent. It's a great movie.
It is.
But yeah, I guess I was looking at it like it was a name, and that just yeah. But what you said makes more sense. That's probably just me, guys. So I'll just be over here.
Yeah, because I see that's a lot of the comments. I have an aunt named Grace. I have a daughter's middle name is Grace. I have a spacecraft whose name is Grace. Anyway, I will gracefully transition because apparently we have a question from an at I love ship 26 _ heart. I guess that's Kevin Michael Reed now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, nice try, Kevin.
You actually stole my word. I was going to use the word graceful to transition to my question, but you used it. So now I don't have anything. No, actually, you know what was really graceful? The nebula. And I have a question about the nebula.
Oh, that's so good.
Why do we only see these on crew launches?
Well, it's not only on crew launches. It's
like the only ones that I've seen have been on crew launches.
It has to do with RTLS, and I'm sure the northeast trajectory kind of also lines it up better for where our cameras are, because instead of it being more directly overhead for going east or the other direction for southeast, this one goes towards the northeast. So just the way that it has to do the boost back to then go south again, it kind of comes right at the camera when you're looking at it through that, because it has to go from northeast back to southeast. So it kind of has to do with turn directly at you. So it just makes the angle that much better for when the plume interacts, in my opinion. But that is only on an RTLS mission. At night is when you see it with all the colors. So that's why it happens, by the way.
So that
It's the
actually that answers my question then, because the I've seen a few Falcon 9 launches now. The last one that I remember with the Nebula was, what was it, Crew
7.
7? And I actually have one of your Nebula photos that we never released, but I got a print of it. I'm the only one in the world to have that print. And I remember, like, the Nebula was beautiful that night.
Yeah.
And it was a crew launch. But then I think of the other Falcon 9 launches that I've seen, and I don't remember seeing a Nebula. So it's an RTLS that causes the Nebula to look like this in photographs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Interesting.
there is
It's
some
so
other things at play here. Sorry. I'm just going to jump in real quick. There's other things at play. The trajectories that fly people are a little bit different than like a Starlink trajectory. You want to make sure that you don't liquefy people inside. So they fly on a slightly different trajectory, and it might be because the trajectory is more lofted, or something. They're
Lofted
different.
was
Like if
another
you
mission.
what? Oh, jeez. No, not you two, man. Jeez. All right, never mind. Sorry. Go.
Well, I actually have one more thing to say, because you can get this photograph at shop.nsfspaceflight.com.
No. You're not doing a plug here. No. Okay, because it's Sawyer's. Go.
That was really smooth, Kevin. Good job.
Sawyer, take over. I don't do much
yeah.
plug.
That was thanks. That was the problem with the one from Crew 7, was the fact that it was my first time really doing it. It was kind of shaky, it was a little blurry, and the quality wasn't as great, so we didn't release it. Now that I have a better camera, better lens, better understanding of how this actually works, and a shout out to Max for helping me just confirm my settings before getting it done. Is that a hype train? But yeah, I finally got the shot that I wanted. Auto ISO, 1/100th of a second, f of, I think mine was at 5.4. So for those wondering, the fun techie stuff, but it is so hard to capture on the
Wow.
camera because it is very, very bright in the sky, but to get all the details and the colors and everything, it has to be a slightly longer exposure, or you have to
You
have the
shot that
ISO.
you shot that at 5.4?
Or 5.6, whatever. I forget what it was, but yeah.
That's wild, Sawyer. Normally, I would expect you to need much faster glass, like 2.8 for something like this. It's a really beautiful shot.
It's a really good picture, man.
Yeah, it was
Real.
1/100th,
It's
and I think ISO
really nice.
it was only 12.8. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, good work, dude. And I cannot stress enough that the prints are really beautiful and they support the photographer. And I would be very happy for you, Sawyer, if you sold a good number of these, because it's a really beautiful shot.
thank
That
you.
is
And
really
focal length
good.
was 600 millimeters. Obviously cropped in a
Hey,
bit.
Good stuff.
Yeah,
Kevin,
that was beautiful.
Can you show that picture one more time? Does anybody else? Are there any StarCraft players out there? How much crossover do you have?
Yeah,
Does that look like a Zerg symbol to anybody else?
it does. I thought you were
I
going to say
see
it looks like an Archon, but also, yes, Zerg symbol for sure.
Asade Templari. Dude, I see the Zerg symbol there. That's what I see.
Oh, now I want to play
It's pretty.
StarCraft.
Yeah, me too, man. You want a piece of me, boy?
In the 5x5.
In the pipe.
Oh, I did that last time I did that reference, and you
You
shamed
did.
me last time. I want
You
to die,
absolutely did.
DJ.
I'm sorry. Sorry, my man. Think it's
See,
gonna be okay?
one of my friends said it just looked like a skull at the top with, you can see like the teeth.
Yeah, sometimes
Oh,
from
dude.
like different angles, it'll look like an eyeball or various things. Like it's always it's like looking at clouds, right? Like beauty is in the eye of the beholder or something.
Look at
What
the
did
back
Brian
channel.
just do?
Look at the back channel. Kevin, put that on the screen.
Gotta give him a minute to get the assets.
He will when he gets a chance. Oh, there! Wow, that was fast. Way to go, Kevin.
This is
Ryan
from
says it's Jack.
Ryan Caden.
It's Jack.
I would buy that
Wait, why
version
is
in
it
the
me?
shop.
I don't know.
Why is it me?
That's why it's funny.
Is that
Because the
is it
beard.
because of the
It's the
beard?
beard underneath it. That's why.
Is your beard on fire, Jack? Or
Right now, no, because I use this really nice conditioner with a tea tree oil in it, and I like liberally. Wait, no, yeah, Ryan, I was good to you today. Okay, I got the twist footage that you needed up fast. All right, why are you
Ooh,
throwing
I
me under the
see it on
bus
the
with
side by side,
this
actually.
drawing, man? What are you
I,
gonna do that for?
I can see it with the
Also,
side by
Kristen's
side
coming up
now.
after
It
this.
does look like you, actually.
It really doesn't. Why can we not do the side by side, please?
Oh.
what? What? Okay,
Let me try and get my face the same size. Hang on. Why am I doing this?
dude.
Turn it the other way.
All right.
Let me take a couple questions here. Philly fan in Titusville, wonder where they're located. Saying, I thought you were just going to replace Jack's box with the smiley face picture.
Dang, man.
I thought it was just going to come up and that was going to be Jack. Saying, was the sonic boom louder with the Axiom launch? It seemed like it was. This was so weird with the sonic boom. I mean, the air was so thick. It's Florida, summertime, yeah. It was really heavy, but there was something so cool about this one in particular. I have no idea if our microphones caught it because I didn't get a chance to listen back to it. But as the sonic booms happened, normally you'll hear the boom, 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 and then a VAB squeal, for each one. There was no VAB squeal, it sounded like. This one you heard boom, 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 boom. You heard it echo. You heard each of the sonic booms echoing like 3 or 4
So cool.
times. I had never
That's so
heard that
cool.
before at the press site.
Hmm.
That was unbelievably cool. So that was a first. So I'm not sure if it was just louder. Something was different with it. To be able to hear like, what was that probably then? Math. Like 12 sonic booms.
That's wild. I wonder if there's like a temperature inversion or something like that. We should ask a friend of the channel, Kent G, the acoustics engineer at BYU, who we've done some work with. I'm always so fascinated by the dynamics of audio from launches and like, why was that particular night so special?
Yeah. And again, that's
Yes.
why you talk about, rocket launch. You think, oh, you go to so many, they get old. No, they're all different. Everyone sounds different, looks slightly different. There really is an acoustic and a feeling difference with each one.
Yeah, you really never know what you're going to get from a rocket launch, including you never know when you're going to see something you don't expect to see. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to be very delicate because we are talking about, of course, a crewed launch. We don't ever see anything like that with a crewed launch, but every rocket launch is different, and you could have seen hundreds of them, and you could still be surprised by the sights and sounds from a launch.
Exactly. And I mean, if it's an uncrewed launch and Jack is there, we all know what's going to happen anyway, so it's fine.
Oh, come on.
What do we have? We've got Bole, Ship 36, Firefly. What else were you at?
Minotaur. There's the
Minotaur.
very first Minotaur I ever shot remotes for. I think I had an issue with the fairing sep. It was like a Halloween launch. I want to say like 2017, somewhere in there.
Didn't you shoot
Um,
Alpha?
oh yeah, Alpha Flight 1. Alpha Flight 1 was wild because Vandy range security when it blew up was like, take shelter, take cover, take shelter, get in your vehicle. And that was a foreign experience to me. And all of the other media. And so for like, I don't know, what felt like 30 seconds, but was probably more like 5, we all kind of stood around like, oh, they're all yelling for us to get in a vehicle. And then we did. And then we did. But it was, that was wild. That was a wild one.
Yeah. Jay saying Cert 2. Jack wasn't there for that one, but he was hosting for Vulcan. Anyway. And then El Hulto say, is this the last dragon or the last crew dragon? Will there be more cargo dragons? I know this was the last crew dragon for sure. Have we heard anything about cargo dragons?
I haven't. I'm pretty sure that the Dragon hatchery, the facility where they make these things, is gone. So I'm pretty sure that's the last Dragon. Period.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, yeah, that's a good point, Kate. Like, viewer my chats, what the USDV, I suppose, but that's kind of more of a bespoke one-off thing. You know what I mean?
yeah, the deorbit vehicle for the ISS come 2030. Yeah.
Yep.
So also there is the potential if New Shepard goes this weekend that we may have a tie for the most number of people in space at a time, which I think is going to be 20 when you factor in ISS, which has Soyuz, which has Crew, which has Axiom. Then you also have the Chinese space station, and then you'll have the people aboard New Shepard once they cross the Kármán line.
Hey, um,
Good.
I have a question about Dragon and if there's going to be more and all that.
Go ahead.
Is is Dragon XL still a thing?
Yeah.
Is it
Cool.
still a thing?
Yeah, as far as I can tell, yeah.
Oliver's like, all right.
I mean, we haven't heard anything about it. They've been super silent about it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, Alex is typing in the back channel. Here we go.
Oh no! Oh
Here
no!
we go. Here we
Bad
go.
Luck Jack strikes again. I accidentally killed Dragon XL too. My bad, guys.
Dang, man, stop doing that.
If we're gonna
I'm
jinx
sorry.
anyone, jinx China. What's our favorite rocket here? Come on.
Zuki
Yeah.
3?
No, we're not talking about that. We're skipping that topic.
I was trying to give you a second.
So Alex says, yeah, and the most recent news was that the design has changed and evolved substantially. Yeah, okay, cool. That's yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
If only we had.
Turns out Dragon XL is just Starship.
If only we had like an exclamation point command for it for this other Chinese rocket that has a number that comes after 4 but before 6.
What?
You're really not going to give me the satisfaction. You're not going to say no.
Long March 5.
There you go.
Nope. No, I ain't doing that.
That's right. It goes in the square hole.
You could? Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Let me thank some people here. Phil saying EJ has passed the curse over to Jack of space stuff blowing up. EJ, get back to Starbase.
No.
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 Saying, haha,
No,
this
no, no.
song's amazing. What, you don't want to transfer it back?
No. Oh yeah, transfer it back. Yes.
Transfer
No,
to EJ,
what?
but hey, remember, Ship 35 didn't blow up on launch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we need to like sell a Sharpie along with that shirt so you can write your set. Like when you get the shirt, you take the Sharpie out and you write on launch like on the shirt.
Merch idea. We needed one for the next ship, Ship 37. The ship made it too, and then put like a little spot where you have to
Yes!
write in what happened.
Yeah, it's like a participation trophy. Like I
awesome.
successfully completed, and then there's just a fill in the blank.
Yeah, like a blank box where it has like the light sign here. It says insert
that.
results here.
That's good.
Best idea ever.
That's a good idea. We should do that.
Lindsay, throwing it out there.
Lindsay, where are you? Where are you?
So how often do we come up with merch ideas like live on air? I feel like it's a fairly often occurrence.
If that does get made, that would be the second that I came up with live on air. The other one was the New Glenn version of the launch entry landing.
Nice.
This was the most recent update, apparently, from earlier this year. Jeff Faust posting this on X, saying at Spacecom, there have been significant changes to the SpaceX Dragon XL designed for gateway logistics. Defer to SpaceX to disclose details on those changes.
Yo, how should we reply as Kevin?
Yeah, we should say hi.
Oh no,
you could
not
say,
a GIF.
Here, scroll down a little bit. Scroll down a little bit.
New post.
You could say interesting.
Even though this is, 6 months later.
The Mad Lad actually did it.
He necroed a 6 month post.
He's a mad lad, I tell you.
The mad
lad. Anyway.
Why we love Kevin.
Jeff is going to be like,
$50 super chat.
Whoa! Thank you, bud. For
Enjoy Joe tonight. Thank you. Can you guys save me from my son?
Yes.
Yeah, it's called sunscreen. Okay.
The all right. Yeah. Put some on. SPF protection is important for your skin.
I'm not British. It could have been worse. I could have said sun cream. So, what can I say? I love
That's
my
so
Friday
wrong.
evenings. I know the Brits are weird. Anyway, I'm about to get hated. Guys.
Breaking news! All right. All right. That just made my day. Jack is smiling upon us.
This is what I think Space Pope looks like.
Thanks, Space Pope.
Oh, did Space Pope make this?
That's
Courtesy
pretty
of Space
amazing.
Pope.
This is
Good job,
excellent.
Space Pope.
It actually does look like
So,
Dude, that's amazing.
so you know, when someone passes and they have like the service and there's like a little like easel with a photo of the person, use that. Use that one for me. If everybody that walks into the room gets a laugh out of it, life well spent.
Well, it's good because, as Steve Callie pointed out here, Jack's saying it kind of slaps. Tell us you're old without saying you're old.
What would
VCR,
be
tape deck.
Actual
Uh,
floppy
uh,
disks.
Yeah, actual floppy disk, not the 3.5 hard disk junk. Modem sounds. Beep, boop, beep. That's the best I can do.
That's right. You got a song now from Space Pope for that. Steve
Oh no.
also saying, "Hey Bideford, aka Mom, I'm making Iberico ribs for our dinner. Nobody can save you. Wahahaha." Oh come
Ooh,
on,
that sounds good.
save me some ribs then at least. If you're gonna save anything, save me some. Rocketfella, if the SRV failure had happened in flight, would it have led to the loss of vehicle? I don't know, but there's a chance that the launch escape system may have activated. I think it would be safe to say.
that would
I
have
think
that would
almost
have triggered
certainly.
Yeah.
that would have triggered an abort. Absolutely.
Drew
Speculating, but that
Yeah.
would be my gut.
Asterisk,
Also, I really
asterisk.
like that the chat is full right now of people telling us they're old without telling us they're old. Someone said Betamax. Aaron said playing outside.
Touching grass.
Whoa.
Deep cut.
Drinking from hose water.
Drinking hose water. That's a good one, Sawyer.
I
That's
also
why
had
we are the way we are.
I also had a laser disc, by the way, back in the day. So there you go. We were
Heck
fancy
yeah,
in
we would
my
have been
house.
friends.
Can we also just talk about the engagement from NSF viewers? Like, this is more engagement than I've ever gotten on my X account.
Oh,
Dude.
I immediately found it and went and liked it. Like,
of course
how
you
could I
did.
not?
Of course you did.
I'm telling you, man, tweeting live is very fun. It's fun tweeting with chat. I do that sometimes. It's mostly crap posts, like under whatever Jack is posting, but you know.
Also, yes.
I mean,
also Ryan saying
it's
people
true.
drunk hose water. No wonder you are the way you are. Water hit different back in the 90s. Okay. Just saying.
Ryan will
Wasn't
never know
bad.
the joys of a hot summer day and drinking hose water, and then
Exactly.
filling up balloons with that hose water, and then pelting your friends mercilessly with them, and then getting your
Absolutely.
super soaker, and battling out in the neighborhood.
Yep.
We really would have been friends. I did all of those.
Yep.
Riding razor
Oh
scooters.
man, my house backed up to this wall, and there was kind of like a main road on the other side of the wall, and we would crouch behind it and then huck water balloons at passing cars and school buses. Good times.
Oh, you were one of those.
Also, rotten oranges. Florida is a place with a lot of oranges. Anyways, let's move on.
Yes.
I think we're past the statute of limitations there.
Just don't come
I did
back
that
and
with
you're fine. But you
snowballs.
haven't anyway.
Damn.
Called out.
Very thing.
Drew Nar, Astrogees. Anyway, Telstar 86, will it be eaten before GTA 6 releases? I don't know. Rosebud should have been something more reflective of the international crew. I mean, this was meant to be more of a reflective of it, because, you know,
Yeah.
The joy, the swan. The swan is very international for its peace, its resilience, its rebirth, its grace. So I guess that's part of it. Telstar also saying secretly EJ wanted it to be called Long March 5.
Yep, that's right. You got me.
Austin, getting the print from the shop. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Saying Sawyer, you beautiful beast.
Heck yeah, Austin supporting Sawyer and his art. Thank you, Austin.
Thank you. It's one of those where I figured I'll just try it because they don't happen as often. I don't get to as many launches unless they are these larger ones or TLSs. And again, just confirming it with Max, shooting my shot. It helps now having mirrorless, so I can actually see what's happening in real time. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
that made a huge difference.
Yeah. Every time I pick up one of my DSLRs, like for remotes or what have you, and I look through the viewfinder, which is actually optical, and then I try and change settings, and I'm like, wait, why picture no change? It's like,
Yeah,
dum dum, the photons are going through the glass into a mirror into your eyeball. It's not a mirrorless camera where you're looking at a screen.
I totally
But
didn't do
after
that when
getting
setting up my streak shot for Atlas the other day. No, not at all.
But after getting used to the mirrorless, yeah, it can be tricky. But Sawyer, seriously, dude, good work. I've tried to shoot that. I have not gotten an image of the nebula that I'm happy with yet. It's a super challenging shot. It's beautiful. Good job, dude. Like
Thank you.
I cannot.
It really
say
is
that
a good
enough.
picture, man.
Thank you. Space Pope also getting one. I appreciate it so much. It means a lot.
Heck yeah.
Ethereal
People in
Swords.
chat want you to eat the Astrogi. I'm just saying.
I want to save it like a big members event kind of thing. I don't want to just do it on a flame trench.
Remember
like
that
this
time
flame
I
trench.
ate ghost pepper ramen on in voice chat with members? That was a thing. Like you could totally do it for members. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would want it though recorded because again, there's only one. They were hard to come by. I know Julia has one, and I'm sure it'll be the same debate whether she wants to eat it or save it. Also, it's mostly sauerkraut. It is 56% sauerkraut.
Ooh.
I feel like that might cause some
Wait,
low Earth orbit farts.
Is that
Which
freeze
doesn't
dried
sound like a-
sauerkraut?
I would
Yeah.
assume so. It's sauerkraut 56%, wheat flour 32%, onion, canola oil, dried mushrooms 1.5%, potato, flour, salt, spices.
Warning, may cause off-gassing in the person who eats it.
Also, I don't know what this nutritional info is. It's all in G's. It should be 0 G's because it's space food.
Yeah, I know. What's wrong with these people?
Jokes.
And Ethereal Sword's been saying, on the topic of Minotaur, I've done some brief math in passing, and it seems like VC6 will have a thrust to weight ratio of around like 2, meaning it will literally look like it's free falling upward.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. It packs a punch. It's a
Speaking
lot
of
of
packs
power
a punch,
for a
so
rocket
does
that
an
size.
explosion of Ship 36. Let's talk about Starship.
Hey.
Oh boy.
So, Jack, I know you're
2
in
explosions
Utah.
in 1 week?
Question?
I know.
It's
oh,
been a week.
pause! My God.
Dude.
That's right. Yeah, you might have seen our stream on John Oliver, which was, suffice to say, surreal. But it has been a week in Starbase of improvements and construction and rebuilding. Of course, we did manage to get a flyover done on Monday, so we could get some shots of the aftermath and also some shots of the construction of the Gigabay and Pad B and all that good stuff. But yeah, here you can see the footprint of the Gigabay. I'm so happy we were able to get this shot while they're working on the foundation, because it really does show the size difference, right, between the 2 megabays there on the left and how freaking massive the Gigabay foundation is. Like, not even close. Way, 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 way bigger. Pretty darn nifty. But yeah, so if you want to watch the flyover, we did put a bunch of that footage in the most recent summary video. Also, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in this week's Starbase update. But yeah, there you can see the foundation of the Gigabay. Really though, like, Kevin, should we be talking about the boom? I feel like maybe we should move over to Massey's aerial shots and look at some of the damage there and the rebuild process. Because honestly, my takeaway from Massey's from the air on Monday of this week was, it's not great. It's not the worst. It could have been worse.
Wait,
Could have
Jack,
been
who
much
who
worse,
invited the
especially
Costco guys to Starbase?
the what?
The Costco guys. You know why?
Oh, because it looks like a Costco.
No, they bring the boom. That's what they do. I'm embarrassed that I know that, and even more embarrassed that I just said that on a recorded stream on the internet. I'll put in my resignation, Chris, in a couple hours after Starlink, so you're not without a host.
Nice.
Good guy, Sawyer.
But yeah, I mean, we're what, a week out from the explosion. Here you can see. Look at the browning. I don't even know if that's the right word. Look at the discoloration on the sort of the forest or what have you next to the launch site there. What are you laughing at, EJ?
You said browning. It's got some discoloration there. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that's
of
a
us are
real
in our
word.
30s, by the way.
Browning, not a real word. Discoloration, pro tip, real word.
Browning? You don't do brown. You don't brown your meats.
Oh, I do brown my meat. That is a real word. Good job,
Yeah.
Sawyer. You
I
saved
mean,
me. Thank you. Out of the
you
frying
say,
pan into the fryer, browning meat. But yeah,
say browning. I think
there's a
something
static
else.
fire
But
stand. uh, and a lot of tank farm damage, vaporizers damaged. In some of these shots too, you can see
oof.
up near I guess that would be the east side of Massey's, to top of the frame in this shot. There's a whole bunch of pieces of Ship 36 all sort of laid out. I don't know if they're going to do the same sort of thing we see from like an airliner investigation, where they like take all the pieces of the plane and assemble them in a warehouse, or like lay them all out and sort of remake the plane as part of the accident investigation. But certainly we've seen them gather debris over there on that left side of Massey's, that sort of top left corner where there's not really a lot of tankage. Like when they recovered Booster 11, that's where it went with all the chunks and pieces and rafters and everything. So as they clean up Massey's, it makes sense that they're moving everything over to that side and starting the rebuild process. But really, it didn't look quite that bad to me. I mean, 18.1 seems okay. A lot of the other infrastructure seems like it's not much worse for the wear. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic. I mean, am I? What does your guys read from seeing the aerials, EJ?
I said it when it happened, dude. I don't think this is going to take that long to come back from this. Man, even if everything is junk there, I think the longest thing would be just getting all the new parts. Like, even if they bulldoze the entire thing, or like just disassembled everything, took all the tanks off, said, all right, no, we're doing this all over again. I think the hard part would be procuring the parts, but a lot of those tanks that they're using are off the shelf stuff. It's off the shelf stuff from the oil and gas industry. So I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I really don't think this is going to take that long. I really don't. I don't think so. I agree with you. It's not too bad. It's not as bad as it seems. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, it looked ridiculous because of the tidal wave of locks that popped when the ship's LOX tank, we'll say rapidly depressurized. There was a tidal wave of liquid oxygen that went through, and that's what hit the the tank farm GSE, and that and if any of the tank farm GSE was hot, it immediately set it on fire. Like, that's why you see like super burnt parts of different things, different parts on it. Not like, some of it could just need to be repainted, dude. Other parts you might want to replace. But even if they took the whole thing and bulldozed the whole, like, not bulldozed, like if they took the whole thing apart, just got rid of all of it and replaced it, I think the hardest part would be getting the parts. I don't, guys. My mind just goes back to they built that whole Massey's complex from scratch in like 2.5 months. An entire test facility was done in 2.5 months. Then most of that was pouring concrete. They'll get it done quick. It'll get done fast. Sawyer, what do you think?
Well, when it comes to something like that, they do at least a lot of lead planning. So they'll, you understand, they'll lay it out, they'll figure out what they need, how much they're going to need, get everything procured so that once they start building, they already have everything. And then it's literally just waiting for the concrete to come in and then attaching part A to part B, so to speak. like we were talking about, I think getting the stuff is going to be the hardest part. Now that they're finally able to analyze it and see what's bad, what's not so bad, what can be salvaged, what can't be, now comes the idea of trying to figure out what do we need, finding the documents again, finding out what those materials were again, making sure they have it. If they don't have it, waiting for it to come to them, waiting for it to get made. They can easily build it fast. It's getting the stuff that they need to build and making sure that the site is cleared from it, from the old stuff, and ready to take the new stuff that I think is going to take the longest. So once they have the materials, yeah, I think we're talking under a month at that point. But to get to that point, I'm worried is going to take longer.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I was saying, that's procuring the stuff is probably going to be the longest part. But I don't think that's going to take more than the concrete curing, right? Like, I mean, maybe not. Who knows?
Again, it's not like they planned for it like when they first built Massey's, where they have everything ready to go. They still have to do the analysis and recheck everything. And then, again, like I was saying, if they need to go back and figure out how they built it or figure out exact specifications again and redesign it and reattach everything, we got very, very lucky that those other tanks nearby didn't blow, or this would be a totally different situation. The fact that they're just scorched somehow, but the interior didn't explode was,
Well, it's like I said,
yeah,
dude.
huge.
It's that tidal wave of liquid oxygen that's probably what saved the entire thing. That like you can keep combining methane and oxidizer until you can't combine them anymore. It doesn't matter what the ratio is; they'll produce an explosion. But that tidal wave of liquid oxygen snuffed all the methane out of the air real fast, and then it I believe because it's so darn cold, it basically put out the fire. Like it sounds really weird saying that liquid oxygen put out a fire, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and that's what mitigated a lot of this stuff. Because that is a very energetic explosion. But look, it like almost immediately goes out, and then all that's left is just that cloud of gaseous and liquid oxygen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I still think we're talking months. I don't think it's going to be like the 1 month or month and a half even that people are talking about. I still think we're talking probably minimum 2-3 months out at this point. And that's the
I
minimum.
mean, I could see them get back to testing at Massey, I don't know, in August. So that's a month or two from now, right? And that seems reasonable to me. Maybe even sooner. And I'm talking testing. I'm not necessarily saying static fire testing. Maybe they check out 18.1 and it's good to go for more cryo testing. Maybe they get a ship on the ship cryo stand, which was a little bit further away, and they get the last version 2 ship cryoed. I think that's 38. Once that's cryoed, hey, they could take that QD off the cryo station and throw it on the new ship static fire stand. I think, at least in theory, it's the ship QD, right? If they
I
need a
like
ship
that,
QD
Jack.
because they just roasted one,
That's
there
a
it
good
is.
idea. That's a good idea,
And then in
dude.
the meantime, while they're getting those 2 vehicles tested on the parts of Massey's that are less roasted, then in the meantime they can work on the ship static fire stand and get that back up to snuff. Or get the parts to build a new static fire stand, like you're saying, Sawyer, or whatever the longest lead item is. But in the meantime, we did see even I think some tank farm activity from the Massey outpost today. So it is possible that they get back to testing something there soon. Now that's not flight, right? That's not launch. And of course, even once they get back to testing at Massey's, even once they get back to static fire testing at Massey's, the question of when flight is still kind of up in the air to me because
Well, it's not.
what if yeah,
Ah,
right, what if they get the ship on the static fire stand again and they have another issue? I'm not even saying what if it ruds, but like what if they get that 6 engine static fire going on the next ship and they see some data they don't like and they have to swap engines or do more mods or what have you. I mean, we're still very much in the prototyping phase of all of this as much as we want to be further along right now. And so flight 10, I think still question mark, but some sort of testing back at Massey's, easily I could see that happening in July, certainly by August.
Jack, can I float a weird theory? So are you guys
Float it
mind?
like we're in microgravity, my good chum.
Float
The
away.
more and more I think about Ship 36, the more this just seems like a bad batch of COPVs. And now, don't get me wrong, that's not entirely, it's like not entirely somebody else's fault. SpaceX should be testing these things, but if you've tested, if 1,000 of these things have come from the manufacturer and none of they've been fine, right? Like, why would you have any reason to believe that it wouldn't be? But the more I think about this whole test and how Ship 36 went down and what they were doing, I had originally suggested like maybe it's a different testing regime, but there's really only one way to fill that COPV. Like, you could adjust the timing and the countdown of when you fill it, I suppose, but even then you're filling it the same way. And I don't know, that maybe that has something to do with it, right? Like, but
I mean, I have to think that that's a possibility,
right,
given what was it, Amos 6. If they're
yeah,
changing the fuel load and they're changing how aggressively they load propellants
exactly.
into those bottles and things like that, like maybe I'm not a rocket scientist, but
But then, yeah,
certainly based
but then again,
on
Jack,
what we've
right?
seen in the
Like,
past.
you have, yeah, exactly. But and then for Alma 6, you have CRS 7, which is where the thing failed proof testing. It was the same thing. Bad batches of COPVs definitely happen. That's definitely a thing. So the more I'm thinking about it, it just Ship 36 just seems like bad luck. It just seems like it's a bad batch. And now, don't get me wrong, that's really up to SpaceX to confirm the proof test settings from the manufacturer, right? But the more I think about it, the more I think just it was just a bad COPV, and that unfortunately that it manifested itself in the middle of a static fire.
I
Like,
mean, if that's what it was, that it's no less, cruddy of a failure. But a process failure like that, like a failure to quality control or adequately,
mhm,
test the hardware going into a final vehicle, is way more of a solvable problem
yeah,
than vehicles inherently flawed, or we designed it in a certain way that is prone to issues, or we designed it badly for rush purposes, or whatever other outcome involving a flaw with the hardware itself. A process control issue, do more documentation,
yeah,
crack the whip, make people who are responsible specifically for the testing and outfitting of those COPVs and nothing else, and make sure that they know their jobs are on the line if they don't have all that already. But
mhm,
a process control issue, way easier of a solve to me
than a
as a
design.
layman,
Yeah,
yeah, than an issue with the design.
that's because, like, if you didn't, let's say Massey's was intact and Ship 36 was getting ready to like be poised on the pad. Like, if you're just looking at the production side, nothing seems out of the norm. Like, it seems like they're just like, okay, keep going, right? All right, keep going. So it seems like, if this was a real big thing, we would have seen at least a small stop. But no, it's just like, all right, no, just keep going, just keep going, keep your foot on the gas, which is what I've suggested. I think that's what SpaceX is doing. But this kind of corroborates that. I don't know. You guys think I'm reaching? Like, I'm not trying to like run cover for SpaceX either. If they have processing problems, Jack, you said optics last week. You failed in a very public way. That it will come back to bite you. Especially with the amount of ships that they're making. But if it's a processing issue, yeah, not a big deal. Just keep going. Just keep going.
I don't think you're necessarily reaching. But I am immediately thinking of what was it, an Elon tweet saying like, suspect the COPV failed below proof rating or whatever, uh,
Mhm.
which is a rare failure. Like, it's like, yes, there were COPV issues on Amos 6 and CRS 7. 7 was a strut that attached the COPV to the tank
Yeah,
wall that
yeah,
was not up to the manufacturer's spec that they said it was supposed to
yeah.
be,
That's right.
not the COPV itself, but of course the
Yeah, that's a good
COPV
point.
liberating caused the issue. So if I was just going to like take pains to try and take issue with something that you were saying, it's that a a bad batch of COPVs. I mean, I hate to use the same phrase again, unironically, is a mature technology. COPVs are a mature technology. Like, to suddenly have a bad batch of them would be a little bit surprising to me. To me, a more likely thing, or at least where my mind goes, is not a process control problem from the perspective of not testing the thing from the manufacturer. It's however they're being handled on SpaceX's end. And I am, of course, biased by the tweets that we've seen from various former SpaceX employees. That one guy who mentioned the COPV handling issue like weeks before Ship 36 happened. Like one small data point, but I have a hard time believing they don't do any tests on these things after they get them from the manufacturer. And therefore, I'm thinking perhaps it's something on SpaceX's end where they're being handled in a way or installed in a way or tested in as part of the fuel loading process in a more aggressive way. Something that SpaceX is doing that is causing an unanticipated reaction from the hardware itself. But that's just me. You feel free to disagree.
No, I mean, dude, even if it was a bad batch, you should do testing. I, you know, get a good look at a T-bone by sticking my, no, it's got to be your bowl. Would you rather take his word for it? No, not with aerospace. I would not.
It can't be an episode of the Flame Trench if we don't reference both Office Space and Tommy Boy. If we don't reference those two episodes, is it really a Flame Trench?
That's right. Now, the saying is you can get a good look at a T-bone by, dissecting a bull, but you'd rather take the butcher's word for it, right? But in aerospace, you really can't afford that. You test it yourself. You have to be sure, because if you're not sure, this happens. Mishandling of equipment in the space program has caused some pretty notorious ruds in the past. Like, dropping an SRB and then putting it on a Delta II carrying a multi-million-dollar GPS satellite and then having it blow up like 15 seconds after launch. Or dropping the O2 tanks and cracking the Teflon seals, so when you go to stir the tanks, they explode. Apollo 13. Delta II, GPS, 1997. Apollo 13 wasn't in 1997. I'm talking about two different things at the same time. But, it does happen. I mean, it could be that too. I mean, it's up to SpaceX to proof test it for sure.
I was going to say, 1997 felt a lot like 1970 there for a minute.
Yeah. Well, they both have sevens in them and nines, so it's good.
I don't want to feel old. Let's talk about something else.
We could talk about the generous support that we're still getting from people here. Ethereal Swordsman saying Browning, as in John Moses Browning, patron saint of hole punching.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Thank you.
There was a
Jack thought I was being silly.
Punching.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
Yeah. No,
they don't get it.
I missed it.
Straight over my head. That sound you're hearing is the joke whooshing very loudly over my head.
I don't get it. No, I'm not explaining it either. No.
Chat, help. Oh, come on. That's part of our job, is to explain things. Well, actually, that's more Alicia's job on This Week in Spaceflight, to explain things that we really don't hear when we just chat, which is coming up in just a couple of minutes, by the way. So make sure that you stick around. We'll auto-redirect you to the premiere of This Week in Spaceflight to get all of the actual latest news without our ridiculous faces and jokes and commentary. And she also has better earrings. So... that is coming up.
Guns, guys, guns. Browning engineered firearms, like the 1911 50 cal fire guns. Dang it.
Yeah. I was thinking, did they make sewing machines or typewriters or
yes?
It
sounds similar. It sounds similar. Sewing machine does that too. It's close enough.
Yeah, enough. Thanks, CJ. Thank you.
I got you, man. I got you.
I'm now referring to them as sewing machines from now on. Thank you for that. Also, thank you to our members who we couldn't do this show without, especially our launch directors and our flight engineers. With the support from viewers like you, we are able to do what we do, and these people in particular also coming in with the extra generousness. So thank you very much for that. And I also need to give one more thank you for people still managing to get my print. It's unbelievable. Anonymous in the shop saying keep up the good work, and then another person saying amazing Nebula Sawyer. I'd love a way to get a digital copy to use as a desktop background. Shoot me a DM if you want for a background. I can probably make that happen. I don't know. I've never had a picture actually blow up like this. Well, not blow up.
I feel like we should offer background packs in the store, like a $4 or $5 digital download or something, and you can get a couple cool shots for your desktop background. I'll talk to the store team.
You'll have a face that looks like this if you do. And then you'll be very sophisticated like this, Jack. Thanks for joining us from Utah as we continue to enjoy the gifts. Ooh, the drawing. Right away.
Honestly, it's been a real treat. So thank you to all of our members, and thank you to everyone who supports what we do, so we can roll out and have 3 separate reporters at an event like this when mainstream media and organizations with a million more people like don't even send anybody. So thank you, everybody.
Oh my gosh, can you believe they don't send people anymore? Oh my gosh. Also, thank you, EJ, for making all of the faces and for all the commentary.
Well, hey, thanks for having me, guys. It's a privilege being on here. I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/EJ_SA. I'm out there doing spaceflight commentary pretty much all week. So it's a privilege being
Dude,
here.
your
Sawyer,
reaction to the bully thing was amazing.
Are we gonna show that?
I don't know if we are, but if people are watching you on Twitch, they're messing up.
Are we gonna show? That was a real reaction, man. It's like, oh well, that's done. All right, you don't need that anymore. It's gone.
Yeah.
Mods, if we can link EJ's Twitch, like we should, because that was amazing.
I'm sure it's saved as a clip there, right?
Maybe. Yeah.
Someone's got to
probably.
have clipped it, yeah.
I retweeted it on X, so if you guys want to see it there, it's there.
There you go. Yeah, it was quite the reaction, to say the least. a little nicer than ours. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. I have been your host for this episode of The Flame Trench, and I look a lot like Jack Fire, apparently. Jack, you want to do my voice for this one?
I could never emulate your buttery smooth voice. I'm Sawyer Rosenstein. Jack has the best taste in bagels. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, Atlantis.
Bottom towers, fly! Yes! Tango down to nominal.
Flight downside FD off. Bring in FD off. It's orange! 145!
Oh my god!
Décollage.
Look at this!
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You read? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Oh.
Activate after luge.
Oh.
Activated.
Whoa.
T plus 100.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's really not good. Oh.
Activate after luge.
Oh.
Activated.
Whoa.
T plus 100.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's really not good. Oh.
Activate after luge.
Oh.
Activated.
Whoa.
T plus 100.
Oh, that's bad. That's bad. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's not good. That's really not good. Oh.
Activate after luge.
Oh.
Activated.
It's
Whoa.
too good.
So much repetition of it.
The first ope. Oh.
There.
How many times you gotta play it, man? Jeez.
All the times.
Hey, at least you didn't have to sing.
Yeah,
Why not?
Yeah.
What's wrong with singing?
I'm gonna put it out there right now. I know you're not producing tonight's, Kevin, but please don't make me do anything crazy with the goal tonight.
That's not up to me.
Yeah, I know it. Hi, Jay. I'm doing this as a favor already. Please don't make me do anything stupid on this one.
Gotta do things for the Membies.
For Membies, sure, but not for Starlink later. I will always embarrass myself for Membies, but that's about it.
up, Mems? What's up,
And
Membos?
EJ is looking at what's between his legs, which is a
Wow.
dog.
I'm
Wow.
trying to fix something. It's on my desk. Leave me alone.
We're with Mem Mesa.
Are you winning,
And
son?
Twitch. No, not really. My dog's collar is broken and I'm trying to fix it.
Oh, Titan.
Yeah.
Oh, tidy. I miss like
Lentils.
Membies.
By the way, Jack, am I allowed
I
to use
think
the engine knocking one or no?
I'm fine with it. I don't think there's
Okay, cool.
anything. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, while I was doing it, I was like, should I not be doing this? But I mean, the only sign in the Rocket Garden says "Do not climb" on the displays, which I did not do. In fact, in the 28-minute walk around of the Rocket Garden that we're uploading from MBs, I thought about climbing on one of the displays and didn't. So, so yeah, that's the only. There's no sign that says "Don't knock the nozzle." Maybe they should have had one for Bowley. Maybe it wouldn't have
I can go run.
had a rud.
I think they were like $20.
You know what, Mike?
Speaking of,
whatever.
I just exported a smaller version for Chris so that he can hopefully get that uploaded for members. Let me get him a link to that really quick.
Yeah, because the other
For
one I think is
members.
for the regular member stuff. The other one I think is for L2.
Yeah. I think there's a limit to how big the memory things can be, and
I think it's 2.
full export. The full export I did was 2.5 gigs. So I'm uploading a 1 gig version for the YouTube, and then
I
on
think
L2
the max
we'll
is
have
2, and yours was 2.1.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. Luckily, the hotel internet here is actually pretty good. I was not counting on that being a thing, but it's actually pretty decent.
No,
Mems, what
except
do
for
you
the
want to talk about?
occasional. I don't know if it was just your AirPods or if it was the internet. Other than the occasional like random spotty cutting out, it was good.
Probably AirPods, honestly.
Yeah, no, your connection stayed the whole time.
Thank goodness. I thought I'd be back in Starbase by now, but to just get everything done, there would have been no way. Absolutely. I mean, I'd have to run to the airport right now and get on like a red eye, and like I also have Starbase update tomorrow, and I don't want to be a zombie for that, so I'll probably record that here. It's been a time. I'm excited to like not do anything tonight for the first time in several days. If anyone knows Utah stuff, I'm in the Salt Lake City area. If anyone has any recommendations.
Yeah, my plan tonight was to keep listening to all the new Springsteen music that just came out.
Nice.
87 tracks. 7 unreleased
That's a lot
albums.
of tracks. So you know, like how fans of Jimmy Buffett are parrot heads. Is there like a term for Springsteen fans? Like, are you a Springer?
We're the E Street Nation.
E Street Nation. Okay, I got a chuckle from EJ. I'll take it. You know what? It was a bad joke, but I'll take it.
You're
Even worse, one of the official fan groups that I am a part of are called Spring Nuts, so could be worse.
Hey, it wasn't far off.
Yeah. Jerry. I mean, you both count Jerry, and
yeah, that's like Springer different than Springsteen.
But yeah, so that was the plan for tonight, and then tomorrow is Ham Radio Field Day.
Ooh.
It's basically what?
Are you a ham? How did I not know you were a ham?
KC2VRX.
Nice.
Chat wants me to let you know that you guys were on John Oliver, but I have a feeling that you guys already know that.
Wait, what?
Yes.
We were? No. Oh, pause. My God, that's cool.
That was one of those things where people I haven't talked to ever, like people I went to college with, you know, that kind of thing, were hitting me up, sending me the link, like, "Yo, is this you?" Like, that was That was a cool little thing. Like of all the ways the footage could be ripped
It's
and
pretty cool.
stolen, for lack of a better term,
I mean, yeah,
and reused,
not credited.
that was a good one.
Yeah.
That was at least he didn't call us NASA. Like he just said on a live stream. He didn't even say the live stream. Like I appreciate how wrong they didn't get it.
Yeah, exactly. And the story was about us. It wasn't about the explosion, which was kind of cool.
Right. And they used the explosion to dunk on Musk. It's John Oliver. Like
It's
no
gonna
surprise
happen.
there. But yeah, I was pretty pleased. I was pretty pleased with how that worked out.
And it's funny because you obviously we were all on it. I was serious the whole rest of the night after that. Absolute, just let's get the news out. Let's get people safe. Let's figure out what's going on. Not speculate. Not do all the no jokes. And then, of course, the one joke that I cracked immediately after it happened makes it
Can I be real with you, Sawyer?
Yeah.
I don't think. Obviously, we can't know. I don't think our clip would have made that segment without your joke.
Really?
I think you literally served that 15-second clip on a silver freaking platter to any late night host savvy enough to grab it. And John Oliver was. Like literally, that joke made the whole bit. It made the whole entire bit, like not
It was
just on
pretty
the
funny.
stream, but John Oliver didn't have to do any work except for show our stream, play a laugh track, and go, "Rrr," like
I go,
you
yeah, you think?
literally, yeah, you literally served them that on a silver platter, and it's just like we all know you're a pro, but like Jesus, man,
Yeah,
good
'cause-
job. I wish I'd said something cool. I
You said
answered
Ship
your would
36
they
blew
static
up.
fire. Like it starts off with like, would they static fire in the rain? And my flippant like, yeah, probably. Just the other day it was raining when they did the single engine static fire. None of that. Like it just ended up, yeah, probably. Whoa.
Yeah,
Like,
you were about to give an actual decent answer, but then
right. But all that came through was the flippant, probably. Like, oh god, why couldn't I have said something cool? And instead of shit, there, like if I had been like, oh, the humanity, or like if I had said anything cool, like that was sweet. Like I don't know, it would have been nice if I sounded cool. But hey, I'm me, so that's just not gonna happen.
But it's crazy that, again, because also the Bandicam clip that Chris Bergen, which most people just took from his Twitter, didn't have that beginning part all the way, and it definitely didn't have the launch date comment. You had to actually go and watch the stream back to see the full context of it. So someone either watched it live or somehow went and watched the whole thing and went, you know what? This is comedy.
Yep. Absolutely, man. Like good timing. Fantastic comedic timing.
I'm glad I got, of course, we were all thinking it. We had to, obviously, we were thinking, this is bad, oh crap, and there goes the launch date. So I'm like, which of those do I want to say?
Right. And in any other context, with any other situation, that's not obviously how any of us would react, and there would be no jokes. But it's a ship static fire. It's a late night Starbase stream. Like we're being a little bit informal and hanging out. Like, and you did the one joke. Like it was.
One
anyways,
joke in 3 hours.
I'll stop belaboring the point. But
yeah,
good job, dude.
If that were a full actual starship, if that was a real launch, if that was anything that involved humans, that would be completely different. But it was middle of the night. We had already gone live 2 hours earlier than we probably should have. Thanks, Kevin.
Right.
And we're just waiting.
Good stuff.
That was
good shout, EJ.
Yeah.
He just took the footage and showed it, huh?
Oh, he had a commentary after, and I was saying now that we need all of our late night streams to have a laugh track.
That was so surreal. So surreal hearing our voices with a laugh track.
You and I were messaging each other afterwards, like, did this really happen?
Wild.
Yeah, sleep-deprived commentary is the best in Terry.
Oh, jeez.
Creedon said that, not me.
Membies, how was your week?
Also, yeah, shout out to all the other hams who will be out there tomorrow. And Sunday, I guess.
Are you guys gonna like do anything cool, like talk to the ISS or anything?
I mean, one of the experiments from Axiom is having the crew members on ham radio, so I wouldn't be surprised. I have a QSL card. I actually made contact with the ISS before, so I have a card that says that I did. There's your Sawyer Flex, but it's mainly about preparedness in the event of an emergency. If everything else goes out, ham radio can still stay up. So a lot of these places are offices of emergency management, or they're running on generator power only, or some kind of special scenario that if a worst case scenario happens, there is still a way to communicate. And I didn't get it for a while, but it turns out the Office of Emergency Management that I used to volunteer with when I was in New Jersey, we're just outside New York City. 9/11 happened. Cell towers went down. The ham radio station stayed on for a week, and they sent hams down to ground zero, and they'd communicate with whoever was back here, and they would relay someone survived and a phone number to call them and let their family know that they were okay. So that was done through the OEM that I was at.
That's wild.
Crazy, dude.
I mean, talk about like lost knowledge or lost capability as we were all stream. You know, if anything ever happens like that, that's a really good skill to have, Sawyer. Keeping it flame.
Yeah, and it's not something that can be interrupted with, cell signals or not having coverage. The atmosphere and antennas.
Right.
You have the coverage for your toe.
That's really cool.
Neat.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, fellas. I gotta call this post show early. I got a lot of stuff to do. So
Well, enjoy
I'll
your
see you
week
guys.
off of streaming at least.
Yeah, I'm stressing out about stuff, man.
Enjoy.
All
You're
right.
in air quotes.
I hope the stress abates. We love you, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be all right. I'll see you guys. Thank you.
Bye. Go grow your beard back.
Amazing. I'm so glad I didn't shave mine off.